What's up, everybody? Welcome to Directly to You, episode 55. I am AJ. I am here with Parker. We're going to talk at you and or to you about Nintendo news and other things that are loosely related, possibly.
True.
If you like that, you can support this show by, well, first of all, just subscribing to the channel, you know, the youtube.com/directly to you. We might upload some other stuff. We've been having a conversation about that, so stay tuned for that. If you're a podcast listener, you can rate us on whatever service that you listen to this podcast on and tell us all the stuff that you think about the show. Doesn't have to be great stuff. Could be just your thoughts, you know, just be realistic about it. You know what I'm saying, Parker?
I know exactly what you were saying.
And you can also support the show more directly by
Hey, I see what you did there.
becoming a channel member on youtube.com/fanatics4 for $4.99 a month. What do you get for that $4.99 a month? You may be asking yourself, Parker. Well, you get exclusive emotes, gaming time with us, free Switch keys from time to time. And speaking of that gaming time with us, we're going to get a comment from Falcon later, and it's well sourced. It's a well sourced comment because Falcon's really good at the game, and I know this because I've played with him several times because he's a supporter. You can also support us through the Anchor listener support program. I just pro tip: give the $4.99 if you do it on Anchor, but you can do anywhere between $1 and $10. You just won't get as much for it. So. Either do the $4.99, you'll get all the stuff but the YouTube exclusive stuff, but you'll get all the Discord exclusive access and all that good dear stuff. I don't think I'm missing anything other than the Twitch stuff that's still in tax limbo because they're in shambles as a company, apparently.
Interesting.
How you doing, Parker?
I'm doing good. Yeah, glad it's Friday right now for us. Saturday when everybody's listening. But just glad to be done with the week, have the weekend and all that good stuff. Yeah, been playing some games. Been playing a bit more of Ys 8, and that's been a whole bunch of fun. Yeah, it's just I mean, we talked last time. I like RPGs, and I also like fantasy worlds and all those things. So, like, yeah, it's right up my alley. I just got. It was funny though. I'm like 18 hours into the game or so, and I was
posh. You're like you might as well have just turned it on.
Pretty much
an RPG world.
Well, exactly. So I'm pretty thorough in honestly most games too. Where like, you know, every time I see an item or a material, I'll like pick it up.
So you're still in the prologue then.
So I was like. Going through a bit was like, man, there's a lot of cutscenes here in this bit and like not a lot of just free roam, do whatever you want type stuff, which most of the game in the biggest chunks of it have been that. And so I was like, what's going on? And then it came to a conclusion of a sort and it was like end of chapter 2. And I was like, it's only chapter 2 and I'm 18 hours in.
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. But I looked up, there's 6 chapters. So
okay. Well,
I'm all right. I'm on track.
So you got a good 60 hours left in you.
Something like that. Yeah. It was fun. And it was a neat shakeup after the end of chapter 2 to like the start of chapter 3 is fun. So I won't give any of that away if anybody wants to play it. But yeah, it's been a really fun game. If you like games like it, there's a lot of things about it that remind me of like somewhere halfway between Xenoblade and Breath of the Wild a little bit. Like it's definitely not as open as Breath of the Wild, but it's a little more open than Xenoblade, but like somewhere kind of in that, but just more towards the Xenoblade side. But the combat obviously is actually, you know, ARPG
One of
type
these
stuff.
days, I gotta play more Xenoblade because I don't hate it. But it's just not something that's like, you know what I want to do? Play Xenoblade.
Absolutely.
So I got to play more of specifically the second one. Because I played a good amount of the first one. I played freaking, and I think we had this discussion about me playing Xenoblade Chronicles X for 30 GD hours. And gross. You know what I mean, Parker?
I haven't played it, but I would like to. I'd like it to come to Switch. That would be great, and then I could play it. But yeah,
I just want it to be the thing on the box.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to go into that again. Something I will go into again, though, is Smash Brothers, product provided by Nintendo.
Nintendo.
This is a Smash Brothers segment because, of course, it is. I've been playing a lot of Smash Brothers, and I've been playing with, like, you know, randoms in the Elite Smash, which I, like, have solidified Pokemon Trainer's place in Elite Smash. Like, before, I mean, I've gotten him there before. We already established that as well. But I was, like, in and out of Elite Smash, but now it's like I'll drop out for one match maybe, and then I'm just back in it the next match.
Nice.
And a lot of that is like because of matchups. Like I'll get matched up with like a Fox or something, which is like a pretty bad matchup for Pokemon Trainer. Just because Ivysaur doesn't have a great time with Fox, and if Ivysaur doesn't have a great time with a matchup, you might as well throw it in the garbage because the other two Pokemon aren't great at the at higher levels of play. You know. So it's like, buff them. I tweeted it, and I was like, kind of joking, but mostly not. Buff Squirtle and Charizard. And when I say buff Charizard, like, you know, like, more casual players of Smash Bros. Like, what? He can kill you with, like, however many smash attacks or whatever. But that's irrelevant if he can't hit you with anything.
Right.
Like, all his moves are too slow. And the range isn't long enough. Like, even the moves that, like, you look at and you're like, oh, that could probably hit from there. Nope. Like, his smash, I mean, like, his up smash, he, like, swings both of his wings up and across or whatever. It does not, it has almost no hitbox beside him. So, like, the only time that it will hurt you is, like, just when they're directly above you, and it's, like, pretty useless. And also, it's very slow. Squirtle just can't kill. Like, give Squirtle a better kill move, and I'll be all right with that. Like, make his smash attacks a little bit faster or something.
Do you anticipate 3.0 update will have a bunch of that kind of stuff, just like bouncing as well as? Yeah,
I mean, they usually do, just generally. But I don't know. Like, Pokemon Trainer's probably never going to be like as buffed as I want them to be.
Right.
If anything, the thing I'm scared of is that they might nerf Ivysaur, which would suck, because Ivysaur is like the saving grace of that character in general, because he's just so good. Like, Ivysaur, if you could just play Ivysaur, he'd be top tier. Like, easily. But you can't just play Ivysaur. You got to deal with the other two. And it's like, ugh.
How come, like, because now they don't penalize you for switching or for just staying as one, right? So in what way is it because he has one fewer move that he would be better if he were standalone? I mean,
it's kind of that, but also it's because, like, it's a few different reasons. First of all, his recovery is not great.
Right.
So if he whiffs his recovery, you need to switch to Charizard to make it back to the stage.
Gotcha.
Second reason is the switch is actually a pretty useful mechanic in and of itself. Like, if somebody's attacking you, you can switch out of combos.
The switch is also a pretty useful console. Just saying. Go on.
Oh my god. But you can like switch out of combos, but then you're stuck as Charizard. Now there is a way that you can like circumvent that, like, because there's a time limit. Or I think it's more so tied to the Pokemon Trainer's animation. He like does the animation where he throws the Pokeball, he returns. You got to finish that whole animation before you can switch again. But you can like you can completely circumvent that by making him do another animation by doing a different B-type attack. So like if I'm Charizard or if I'm Ivysaur and I whiff the recovery, I switch to Charizard. I mean, I've switched from Ivysaur to Charizard immediately. Press up B. That will circumvent that recovery. I mean that time limit or whatever. And then when you get back on the stage, you can immediately switch from Charizard to Squirtle. But then you have to press B again to like charge up Water Gun a little bit, and then like you can switch out again. But doing that is not always something that you can do without getting punished for it. It's best to maybe do that. Like, that's probably the perfect scenario for getting the most switches in the least amount of time that I just mentioned. That scenario of like, oh, I whiffed the up B with Ivysaur. Okay, I'll switch to Charizard. Up B again. Switch to Squirtle. Like, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
As far as like being able to switch more than once for free and not having to like put yourself in a good position for that. The other reason that it's not great to only use Ivysaur is because Ivysaur, compared to like Squirtle, obviously is combo food. Like if somebody hits you and they start a combo, they can continue that combo.
Right.
Charizard even is worse in that situation because like Ivysaur has a good nair. So like his, you know, when Ivysaur jumps up in the air and then he spins around with the like his grass petals, that's a crazy good nair because it has so much coverage and it's fast. So like he's decent at getting out of combos, but he's really bad for getting in them in the first place. So like really they just need to make Squirtle's kill moves faster or have longer range at least. Make just change Charizard into a different character. Make him a different character entirely. Because like he's only really good against
he's gonna be
people
Lugia now.
Yes, he just needs to, like, he's good against people that aren't great. But if you know what you're doing, like Charizard's an easy character to fight.
Right.
Looking at the 2.0 patch, the buff that they did do, I mean, the change that they did do to Pokemon Trainer, they buffed his dash attack. So hopefully that's the trend that we stay on, and they continue to buff Pokemon Trainer and don't nerf them, because that would suck.
Yeah, I mean, because if I remember right, I think 2.0, instead of nerfing a bunch of people, they kind of buffed most people, right? Yeah,
I mean, they nerfed a lot of characters. It's just, it was mostly characters that, and this is the thing that I think might keep Pokemon Trainer safe, is they're not nerfing with top level players in mind. They're more so nerfing with elite smash in mind.
Right.
So like if you're playing online, it's really just the players that, I mean, the characters that work well in lag, more or less. So like DDD's probably going to get nerfed, but King K. Rool, he got a hard nerf and he's not great because of it.
Interesting.
He got a couple of stuff that people would try to like abuse, his blunderbuss, like the thing that like sucks you, like it shoots out the cannonball and then sucks you back in. You used to be able to just sit there and camp with that, but now it has like a cooldown period where it's like it goes and sucks for a little bit and then it stops. You can't just hold it there.
Gotcha.
And there's a couple other things that I'm not like super in tune with because I don't play him often.
That's encouraging, at least that they're, you know, nerfing newer characters and stuff, because I feel like that was probably the problem with Bayonetta and all them, is that like well, I mean, part of it was just when Smash Wii U was out, they just at some point were like, all right, we've moved on. And so they just left the latest ones that were the strongest. So Bayonetta pretty much. I don't know, I could be wrong. That was at least my impression.
Bayonetta was just not... There was no way to really fix that character without changing it entirely for Smash 4. She would have been broken regardless, just because of how well she's suited for the Smash 4 engine in terms of being broken. But since this game is a lot faster, just generally, she can't really take as much advantage of like her speed and like her combo game. But we'll get into Smash Brothers more later.
Yeah.
Let's get into the news.
Let's do it. Also, I got my first code review
I just
ever,
realized that
and
was
I'm
a
excited
Keemstar
about
thing.
it. I'm not going to
talk. You don't want to talk about it?
Well, it's embargo's not up until Wednesday, so there we go.
Are you allowed to say what the game is?
I don't know, so I'm not going to. Better safe than sorry, I guess.
Like, if they didn't tell you that you can't say what the game, because like they'll be like, you can't even have your play activity public,
right?
You know, like that. I've seen that in embargoes.
Then I think I probably can, because they'd mentioned I can't show areas outside of the first area or whatever. But I mean, obviously that means that, I mean, I couldn't until a week ago or a couple days ago. But I don't like, I got the game the day after that part of the embargo was up anyway. So just the full review embargo is the day before it comes out. But yeah,
so impressions free, what is the game?
Yeah, so it's an indie game called Windscape, which I mentioned in this past week's video. So yeah, just playing through some of that at the moment. There you go.
Cool.
That's what's up.
I need to speaking of review situations, I need to play Captain Toad, the DLC, because I went to go play it. And then I realized, wait, I'm not even done with episode 2. So I tried to beat that first. And then I considered doing, because I was going to do a video on like Nintendo's DLC just generally. And how they handle it and how they could be handling it better. But apparently people want to see a different video because I did a poll along with the questions for this thing. And I think I'm probably going to do that just with all of the podcasts. Like, hey, we're recording a podcast. I'm probably just going to do that because 1, polls perform better. 2, I want to give you guys more control over the videos that you see.
Yeah. It was fun. I saw a comment on one of our videos in case where somebody was just happy that we're doing stuff that's different than, like most everything else is news related stuff. So then it's just everybody's talking about the same thing at the same time. But then we talk about different things, which is, I was like, yeah, that's true. That is fun.
Truth. And that's why I try not to make stuff. And that's why I was really resistant to news for directly to you for a long time, because it's like everybody's doing that and it's so easy to do. Yeah. I want to be relevant to the news. So that's why a lot of times stuff is centered around what's happening, but the video is not about what's happening. Right. It's okay, this happened, but like, what does that mean outside of that,
Absolutely. Well, speaking of all the news and the things that are happening around things that are happening, we've got some. This one, I mean, this is probably the headline thing, I guess. But we had a Nindies Direct this week.
What?
That was fun.
I never knew.
You sure didn't until it happened, and then you did.
I legit, like, on that day, I probably went to sleep at like, I don't know, 5 Eastern, 5 a.m.
Nice.
And then I woke up.
I haven't done that in so long. And
I literally only do that.
Nice.
So it was like, I woke up during the direct and it was like in the middle of the Cuphead announcement. So I was like, what the heck? Like, did I miss the direct or something? Because that was the first thing that they had. So I was like, am I like at the tail end of this? And it was like, no, that was just the first thing. Okay, we're opening like this. All right.
That was the thing that I messaged you as well. So I was trying to avoid stuff from it because one of my coworkers, so Mitch that I work with, he also has a Switch and we play games together and stuff. And so we were like, hey, you want to watch the direct together? But his lunch wasn't until 1 or whatever. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll wait around until you can take a lunch break. And so I was waiting around for it. And it went out at 11 Central Time, which is where I'm at. And at like 11:30, one of my other coworkers who like has a Switch and, pays some attention to gaming, but not like a ton. But like he played Cuphead back in the day and was like, man, this would be cool on the Switch. But he played it on his Xbox or whatever. But he came over to me and he was like, hey man, did you hear the Cuphead on the Switch? I was like, no, I'm trying to avoid stuff. Like actively was not clicking on Twitter and YouTube and found out about it anyway, which I mean, rumor had it that it was going to be showing up regardless.
It was like, like I saw Bob tweeted, about it where it was like, this is like more or less that this is like simultaneously the least surprising and also most surprising thing. And that's like the sentiment that I had, where it was like, I didn't even really know what I wanted to say about it, because it's like I was surprised, but at the same time I wasn't, because I've been saying for forever like this is like a no-brainer. Like this is a softball prediction of being like Cuphead is coming this way. Like, but at the same time it's kind of a hot take, because it's like Microsoft and Nintendo, they have their own consoles and traditional wisdom that taught us that means that they will hate each other forever. And you cannot be friends with you have your own plastic box, you can never put your game on the other guy's plastic box.
Absolutely not.
What do you do? That's not what you do. What's your plastic box going to play if you give your game to that plastic box?
So true. Although on that note too, this is one of the articles that I put it after the Nindies stuff, but it's relevant now. Apparently, so we found out from Studio MDHR, who made Cuphead, they're the developers of it. One of them was talking to somebody and they mentioned that it was Microsoft that came to them asking to put it on, or not, like being like, hey, how would you guys feel about putting it on Switch? Which is, I mean, I guess somewhat common news that people have heard at this point, but I just think it's interesting that, it was actually Microsoft, not even the studio. But I mean, it makes sense with all of Microsoft's ventures and everything else we're hearing. Like, if they're also putting Ori and the Blind Forest, and if there's anything else that's coming over, like, obviously they've decided we're going to do it all in this, you know, amount of time or something like that.
Yeah. That, I was kind of surprised that like circulated as news, because I assumed that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even have thought that MDHR would go to Microsoft and be like, hey, we should put this on Switch. Like, that just doesn't seem like something a developer would do.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine somebody at Sony being like, hey, you know what would be great on Switch? Bloodborne, you know? Like,
yeah.
That would definitely have to be a top-down discussion that they're like, yeah, maybe we put this on Switch, you know?
I mean, that's, yeah, even like, or I guess more specifically, if somebody from, well, now I can't remember what the studio is, but the Spider-Man studio, what is that studio called? Insomniac. Yeah, if they came to Sony and was like, hey, I know you told us to make this for just you, but like, I don't know, you want to make it for Switch too? And Sony would be like, nah, man, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, what? Your pay is docked for even asking us that question.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I guess if this also means too. So Cuphead was the first announcement of the Nindies. If that came, when would you guess that? It sounds like Ori and the Blind Forest is also probably going to come. When would you guess that would happen?
I think we might hear about it, because that sounded like something that was like making more ripples in the industry than Cuphead. Like, people were like, yeah, we heard like murmurs of Cuphead maybe coming to Switch, but Ori's a definite. Like, that's definitely going to happen. So I could see that being in their next like big, like, here's what's happening this quarter Nindies thing. Especially if this is just what we're going to get now, because before, Nindies showcases were like these small things, where like, here's a bunch of games that you should care about, like the Celestes of the world, but you're not going to know that you should until you actually play these games. But now, off the bat, we got Cuphead, which is a big game that like a lot of people don't even view as an indie, you know, like in that way of like, no, this game's a big deal. Most times indie games don't become that until after they're already out, but Cuphead was a pretty big deal since it was announced.
Yeah.
So that just changes what Nindies Directs can be in my mind, where it's like, we just don't know how big of games we'll see there.
Yeah. I think what's funny too is like, I put out a predictions-y thing. It wasn't even so much a predictions as much like, here's some things that if we're going to hear about pre-existing things, these are the ones I want to hear about. But I mean, besides Cuphead, we literally didn't hear about any things that we already knew about. And I think that's something that's like pretty much just mostly good and fun about Nindies, is that like, yeah, I mean, like you said, you don't know that you're going to care about any of these, but at the same time, it means they're not generally filling space with stuff that they could just put PR things about. For example, you know, like somebody mentioned Celeste DLC, that we don't know the date for that. But like, they could just put out the date on Twitter and then people would be happy and play it. Like, it doesn't need to be showcased or highlighted or whatever. Whereas these, it gives an opportunity for all these games to actually be highlighted that you wouldn't know to care about otherwise. Whereas Celeste DLC, we know to care about that by now. Or like, yeah, there's some other ones that have been announced before, but like, I mean, honestly, even Untitled Goose Game, like that's one that's, you know, lots of people are really excited about. And I'm also, it seems cool to me. But it doesn't need to be in a direct just to get a release date at this point. Because as soon as we know a release date, millions of people are going to buy it pretty much.
If Yoshi can get a release date on Twitter, any indie game can get a release date on Twitter.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, so that was an interesting the way they announced that though was, I was really confused because I thought Cuphead was going to be at the end of the direct, because by the time yeah, I just thought it was going to be at the end. So
I mean, it makes sense in hindsight, but I guess we'll get to that. Also,
true.
Next week I'm gonna reach out to Dan and see if he wants to do it. But if not, I'll talk to Logan and see if he wants to do it. But anyway, the podcast might be weird. I don't know what's happening with that. Because I'm going to be at PAX. Yeah. Which means I'm probably going to play Cuphead. I'd assume that they have Cuphead there. I could probably get a key for Cuphead now.
Probably. I've seen a bunch of people have one, so
yeah, I gotta reach out to Pop Agenda, I think is who's handling the PR stuff. I gotta reach out to them and see what's up.
Cool.
But yeah, so you'll get impressions from that and other things, and me and Bob are probably going to play this game again. Because last year we played Cuphead at a party. The party wasn't a good party, so we were like, hey man, let's play Cuphead. There's Cuphead right here. They just have it hooked up, so let's play it. But this time we're going to play it at the Nintendo booth, most likely.
Nice.
What if it's at, like, I don't think Microsoft has a booth at PAX, but what if Microsoft had a booth at PAX and they just had Switches at their booth? That'd
honestly, at this point, like, I don't think it would be happening yet, but like next year, you know, like that kind of thing where they're working up to it.
The craziest thing would be if they end up having Switches at their E3 booth. That would be crazy.
I mean, if xCloud is announced and like really, you know, is coming to Switch and is very prominent at that point, I wouldn't be too surprised, because if they want you to test it out to see what it's like on other consoles or whatever, because like that's still selling something for them. This
is blasphemous. This is I'm telling somebody from the 90s, I'm going to invent a time machine and say, hey, you know, Nintendo, check this out.
Yeah. It is funny.
First of all, I gotta explain to them that Xbox is a thing,
right? Yes,
and then I gotta explain how that connects to what they know as gamers currently.
Man, it is funny. I do wonder, like, because people have pointed out a lot of times that Sega's marketing really is what kind of kicked off the console wars to be the console war. I mean, yes and no, because also 100%. People are always going to be like that, though. I feel like,
yeah, but like. They invented that. Like they 100% brought that into, like, because somebody brought up, they're like, I don't remember where it's from. I think maybe it was somebody tweeted it, or no, it was during Wolf Den Live. It was Wolf Den Live, where they were like other fandoms don't go like, I'm a you know, like,
I'm a McDonald's fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Forget
like it's such
Burger
a
King.
it's such a like nerd culture thing, which I'd argue is not 100% true, because like, and I brought this up in the chat there just jokingly, of like Ants versus Bugs Life was 100% a thing.
Very true. Although who was on the Ants team? I mean, if we're being real,
people, but I mean, like, still people did it.
That's a brown movie. It's just so dreary looking.
Oh, you got problems with brown movies now. Hot
take. You know what I mean? It was just, man, like a Bug's Life was so, you know, it was just colorful and like, ooh, right, lots of fun. And Ants was like, we're gonna make ants look like real ants a little bit. But it was a fun movie. I did enjoy it.
Like, it was Sega, you know, like it was like, we're the adult version of the thing that you like, you know.
Although another one, Mac versus PC, but again, that's one.
I mean, that's nerd culture, though.
Yeah, but also is that it was incentivized or like continued by those Mac ads that were Justin Long and what's that dude, John something or other.
Yeah, nobody remembers the PC guy. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna look it up because I want to know. It's John something is all I remember. John Hodgman. Yeah. All right, that's all.
There it is. Now we know PC's name, as if anybody asked.
Yeah. No, but I was like very much just a Mac guy, and I had a bias against PCs or whatever. And I think partly because of that commercial. I don't know. In any case,
I became a Mac guy pretty late in that, you know, where I was like, before Mac, I was never really into like computers in that way. Like I had PCs
really
leading up.
Computers in that way.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, in the sense that I have a preference, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like of a thing, I was like, no, I don't want to use that OS, you know. But now I'm like, no, gross. Like so I wouldn't say that how I feel is even really informed by that, because like I knew there were a thing, but I wasn't like, those ads didn't make me want to be like, I'm gonna buy a MacBook now, you know. It was just more so using it and being like, oh wow, this is way more user friendly than Windows.
For whatever blasphemy it's worth, I'm using a Mac and a PC right now to record our podcast.
Gross.
Although that said, the PC is just for our call portion of it.
I don't like either of them equally for that, like as far as content creation goes,
right?
Because like Mac needs to get it together with their audio business. Like that whole thing, like that screws everything. If it was easier to capture onboard audio, then I would stream a lot more, but it is not.
Yeah.
So it's like I need to use Windows, but I don't want to use Windows because it gives me a headache.
Yeah.
Moving on. This is a tangent.
A tangent on a tangent on a tangent.
All of that is to say, I'm going to be at PAX and I'm going to play as many of these games that they have there, because they did say in the initial email, we're going to have indie games. They didn't say what or when or how they were going to be announced, but they were going to be there.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like probably a bunch more things coming next week then, in that case. I mean, maybe we find out about Ori and the Blind Forest next week. Probably not. I'd guess, I don't know. We'll find out.
I don't know. That would be weird. That would be very weird if they had this big
kind of like
announcement and then they didn't do Ori at the Nindies Direct. That'd be weird.
Yep. So, yeah. Moving on
I mean, Xbox is supposed to be having like a Nintendo Direct sort of situation. But I don't know if they would announce that like a Switch game at their thing. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Next up, so more on the Nindies Direct. That was 150 minutes on Cuphead. Now 200 minutes on Overland. But yeah, no. Next up is a game called Overland. Impressions on this one, AJ?
I don't remember.
So this one was one. It was. I'm curious about. I don't totally understand what the overworld kind of like. How all in all it works, but it's something like you're in little it's almost like little diorama kinds of things, or little squares of some sort, and you've got to make decisions, and it's kind of like I don't know, I didn't totally understand it, if I'm being 100% honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's the difficulty with like I said, with these Nindies Directs, because like when I watched the whatever Direct it was that had Celeste in it, I'm like, yeah, whatever, move to the next thing. And then I played Celeste and I was like, yo, this game's phenomenal. How did I sleep on this? Yeah. So it's like, really, I mean, we could run through like this game exists and this game exists, but like the headline to this is obviously like Cuphead and Cadence of Hyrule.
Right.
Like those are like the ones, you know what I mean? Also Blaster Master 2.
Yeah.
Blaster Master 02 is like another thing. And I guess Stranger Things 3. I guess so.
For name recognition alone, I don't know gameplay wise. I can't tell if it's particularly going to be. I mean, I don't know. We'll find out more about it. It looks, you know, art style wise, it looks nicely done. 16-bit graphics or whatever, and little beat 'em up, but that can kind of live and die by game stuff.
They could have just made Earthbound. Like that's what all they had to do, because that's what already where Earthbound is. Earthbound is already Stranger Things.
I think, I mean, you know, especially it being a TV to game kind of thing, just beat 'em ups are so easy to make. Well, okay, not easy to make, I'm not saying that, but just in comparison to like having to figure out a whole RPG longer form thing, this is like, you know, more straightforward, I would imagine. A good beat 'em up would probably be hard to make, but whatever. Just pissed off a bunch of beat 'em up fans. Before we go to Cadence of Hyrule, some of the other ones here, I'll just read through them and we can pop in any that we think are interesting. So yeah, Overland, My Friend Pedro, which is one, Pedro's banana, neat. Neocab is one, you're like an Uber driver in the future. My favorite part of this trailer though was at the end when they said, but don't forget, blah 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 is always watching, and I'm like, that's kind of like an inside joke before anybody else knows anything about it, so it didn't really land, but whatever. It was just funny.
Yeah, we'll laugh at it in hindsight.
Of course, yeah. Next up, the Red Lantern. This one, they heard a dog in this one, and it made me sad. But it seems interesting. The storytelling, at least, seems pretty neat. I don't know. Did you watch this trailer?
I watched the whole Direct. I just, like I said, I zoned out a lot. Where it was like, I don't know how this game actually plays, so I don't really care. And then, like I said, like I was talking, somebody tweeted at me about the Cadence of Hyrule remix. Like they're like, oh, this song's dope or whatever, right? And I was like, that's literally the only reason why I even looked at this game, because like I like looked at it during the direct, because it was like I heard the Zelda like accompanying, and I'm like, what the heck? And I clicked on it. I was like, oh shoot! I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was also very surprised. All right, we'll skip to that. Some of the other ones, blah blah blah. Some of the other ones seem cool,
that exist
we'll
is wait, where did you stop at? You stopped at Red Lantern, Darkwood,
Katana Zero,
Katana Zero, Rad, Creature in the Well, Bloodroots, Pine, Vlambeer with Super Crate Box, Nuclear Throne, Vlambeer Arcade with Ultra Bugs, Swim Sanity, Blaster Master 02, which again, that's another one that's notable. Stranger Things 3, notable, I guess, and Cadence of Hyrule.
Cadence of Hyrule, yeah.
I'm down. I'm gonna play that.
I honestly, so yeah, I'm definitely looking at it more than I did Crypt of the Necrodancer. Mostly, it was one of those things where, like, if more people had talked about, I heard people say Crypt of the Necrodancer was good, but I also didn't really hear much more about it to know. Watching the trailer, I felt a little stressed out by it, because it felt like I like games where I can, you know, I don't know, be watching a show or something and not pay attention for a minute and be okay.
You definitely had to pay attention.
Oh, yeah. It just seemed like something where, I mean, I love music and I love games, so those things seem to go together pretty well. But like, just watching it, I felt stressed out. And especially with the like flashing lights and all that too. I don't know, something about it just made me feel like I was going to be stressed out by it. So, but maybe I'll go back and see if it's something that would be more interesting to me in the first place. But
that song was dope.
It truly was. And so, Zelda, this one looks a lot more awesome. Just
so I can hear more of those, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, and just interesting. I mean, everybody's talked about it at this point, but here we go too. Nintendo lending out Zelda franchise to an indie.
Where did that conversation even start?
That's what I want to know.
What if it was a Microsoft situation, was like, hey, you guys use Zelda. Make a Zelda game, because we're making a Zelda game and we want Zelda to be all over the place this year, so put it in your game.
Yep. Honestly, it could easily go either direction, I feel like, because I mean, I've heard so many, I don't know, indie developers or whatever be like, yeah, we brought our games to Nintendo to be like, hey, can we do something with it? Oh, well, it was someone was talking about It'll Do and It'll Do 2. That's, I mean, they're pretty much 2D Zelda games, and both of those they brought to Nintendo and was like, hey, can we make it an actual Zelda game? And they're like, nope. And they're like, all right.
I feel like now they definitely are. Like, I feel like they just start that conversation just like without it even being prompted on the other side. Right. Like, a lot of indies or just developers in general are like, hey, we're going to bring this game to the platform. It's already been here, and here. And then Nintendo's like, okay, but like, how are we going to make it different? Do you want to use any of our IP? And they're like, oh, okay, cool. You know, like the Shovel Knight sort of situation, except they didn't do that with Shovel Knight for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That was dumb. They should have put Zelda, or like, well, not Zelda, but the boy Zelda. They should have put boy Zelda in Shovel Knight, but they did not.
They did not. So. Yeah, I mean, and thinking about it with like Starlink and stuff too, that in that one it 100% was. I mean, Ubisoft was hoping, they were like, that would be awesome if we could have Star Fox in here, but they didn't even bring up the conversation. It was that Reggie was checking out their game, I think, and he was like, hello everybody, would you like to Star Fox into this game? Yeah. I really hope they do something cool for when he retires. That's just a side note.
I just want him to like randomly show up, you know?
Yep.
I want him to like randomly show up in directs and stuff like that. And like, oh shoot. All right.
It would be just cool. We like Reggie. He's fun. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think they'll keep doing this with other indie games in the future? Is this a one-off? Is this the start of something new?
I think they'll do it, but I don't know if this is like a major part of their strategy, you know, like specifically indies. I think that like they just look at indies in the same bucket as they do third parties generally. Right. In terms of like discussing like, okay, here's what's going to happen on our platform. Like the same person that's in charge of indie relations is in charge of third parties overall. So it's just a thing of like, does this make sense? Do we need to do this as a way to further incentivize the game in any way, you know?
Right.
Like in that scenario that I talked about where it's like, oh, this already has like found life on other platforms. How do we make it stand out specifically on Nintendo platforms? And that's a really strong way to do it, turns out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and there's other people talked about some ideas of different indie teams that would be able to do cool stuff with. I mean, there's so many, like, you know, Hollow Knight is one of the best Metroidvanias in the longest time. So like, I don't know, that some of this stuff would just be cool. Like, I wonder if they'll ever lend out Mario to indie devs at this point for doing something. And they did it with Mario plus Rabbids, so maybe that means they're less likely to do it because they've recently done that.
The Scribblenauts team make put Mario in their game.
Oh, really? I didn't pay attention
to that
at all.
It was on the Wii U. They had like
oh, that's why I didn't pay attention to it.
Yep.
Because I wasn't paying attention at that point.
I think that might be on Switch. I think they did like a pack.
I think so.
Like
yeah, I know they did. Yeah, they did like a mega pack or something. I just didn't know Mario was in there at all. Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't really do the Scribblenauts thing with Mario characters, though. You know, like you can only I don't even think you can use any acronyms with the Nintendo. I mean, not acronyms, adjectives. To be like, you can't be like fiery peach, you know, like that sort of thing.
Interesting. So, what can you do with them? I mean, I guess I don't know how the game works outside of just what you said.
Needs to be like on brand stuff, like Invincible Mario and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but I remember hearing that they were like super protective about like, you can't do like zombie Luigi, you know, like that sort of thing.
Yep. Interesting. Nintendo, look at you learning and growing and stuff.
Look at you.
Just the way, I don't know, the way they've done stuff with indies is impressive, to say the least. Which, on that note, we got a list of the top selling indies on Switch, and this isn't a huge news story by any means, but it's just fun, and it's kind of more telling of how they're doing indies super well recently. Anyway, and supporting them.
I wish they gave us numbers.
I know.
Or at least a window of like, this sold 12 million units.
Yep. It would be, because I mean, like Stardew, so, and these aren't even in any order, but it's Stardew Valley, Hollow Knight, Overcooked 2, Undertale, Dead Cells, Enter the Gungeon, Graceful Explosion Machine, Celeste, and Golf Story. I've got to imagine Graceful Explosion Machine is at the bottom of the list. I don't know. Just because, well, I mean, that one's been out for a while, so maybe not. But that's just the one I forgot completely what that was.
Right.
But maybe it's been on sale a bunch too. But it's been around since it came on the Switch, I think, like April of launch year. So it had been out, or the Switch had been out like a month and a little bit before that game came out. And we all know that there were not a ton of games when the Switch first launched. That was even before Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
because that was like April.
That's
late
a
April.
huge reason why I like played Stardew Valley, because like before Mario Odyssey, like it came to Switch like, I don't know, like a couple weeks before Mario Odyssey came out or something like that. And I was like, I guess I'll play this.
Yep.
And I bought it, and I played it, and then I didn't. We had that whole story though.
Yeah, right.
The whole thing. But most of these games I haven't played. I haven't played Hollow Knight. I know. I played. Yeah, I know. I played Undertale, but I played it a while ago on my computer, which is strange for me.
Indeed.
I didn't play Dead Cells. I didn't play Enter the Gungeon or Graceful Explosion Machine. I played Celeste, not Golf Story.
Yep. I played Stardew Valley, Hollow Knight, some Overcooked, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not the right
those. I don't know. I didn't mention that. I played those.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten the right group of people together maybe to do it. Like most of the time I'll be with other people who like aren't necessarily super gamers, where it's like kind of casual stuff. And I'm the kind of person that, kind of like we talked about with Smash, where like I try to pretty much meet other people's levels or whatever. So like pretty much I don't get super stressed out playing games and whatever, to where I know some people will introduce people with Overcooked and then everybody will be yelling and whatever, which like I can imagine myself in that scenario if playing with like you and maybe some other people that are like just are gamers, and that's
like, get the thing and put it on the thing and cut it.
If I know that everybody else is at the same skill level, like we're all good. But otherwise I'm just gonna try to like work together and do the great great job and stuff, which like that game's just not really built for that, to be positive and encouraging.
Like, oh, we got 1 star, that's good enough. But with gamers, it's like, nah, we got to get the 3rd star. We can't go anywhere else.
Yep.
We have to get all 3 stars.
So, and I tried playing it by myself because I'd bought it and I was like, I'll try that. And that does not work. Just logistically speaking, it's not well made for that.
It's
but that's not what it's made for. Like it's a great game, but it's just, I haven't been in the right scenarios. But in any case, Stardew Valley, Hollow Knight, Overcooked, played a little bit Undertale, but need to get back to it. I've got Enter the Gungeon, and that game was very fun, and Celeste and Golf Story, but not some of the other ones. So not Dead Cells, not Graceful Explosion Machine, and Overcooked too. You and I at some point need to switch Nintendo login type stuff so that we can try each other's games, because that would make things easy.
If you want.
Yeah, I tried that with Mitch the other day, and it worked out pretty easily. So
there it is.
Nice.
So we can do it.
Reminder to everybody that you can do that, and it's pretty cool.
True.
But yeah, I mean, all that to say, Nintendo's doing great with indies. That's, pretty much all there is to it.
Yep.
There we go. Nintendo's also making strides in another department, which is in Labo. I was very surprised did you watch the Labo VR gameplay trailer stuff?
Yes. Funnily enough, Falcon sent it to me on Facebook.
Nice.
We were playing I was playing Smash Brothers with Logan and Falcon and my aunt and our friend Lance. It's a great time.
Nice.
But Falcon started lagging, so he had to get out. I was like, all right, man, we have to talk. Yep. But yeah, he sent it to me. I watched it and I was like, cool. Because I was already like interested. I already wanted to check it out. I already said, hey, yo, Nintendo, hit me up with one of them.
Yeah.
And they said, all right, possibly. I said, okay, cool.
Honestly, yeah, I thought it was just in general watching the stuff for this, and I listened to Game Explain and Nintendo Life's impressions just to try to get an idea of people that went hands-on with it, because it's one of those, like, just watching the trailer, it's hard to tell 100% what it's like as well, but it sounds like they're kind of still making steps in the right direction. For a couple different reasons. I think we've talked about it before, but the starter kit is really great because that means that you can get in at $40 instead of $80, which is just like, that's a big difference for some reason. It's twice the price, but like it's in mind space kind of thing. Something under 50 and over 50 just kind of is a breaking point, I feel like.
Right. I think it's just weird. Like, because I listened to Game Explain's impressions of it, and the way that I look at this, and just like Labo in general, is less about like, this is like a product that I want to own and use for a long time moving forward, and more of like, this is an experience that I want to invest in to have like this time with it for whatever window of time that I'm going to have it. Right. Because like, think of it like in the context of like, a lot of this stuff is like, are experiences that you would pay to go to like an amusement park to have, or even like an arcade, and have these little bite-sized things of like, oh look, I'm riding the motorcycle and I have the big VR headset thing on my head, like that sort of thing. Like, you have that and it's just at your house and you built it, right? So I think like on that end it's cool. It's definitely like, if you're looking at it as a purchase of like, this is like PlayStation VR and I'm going to have this forever and it's going to be nice and sturdy and it's going to keep me, which I don't even think I don't think PlayStation VR is great at like keeping you engaged for like a long time. Right. Like, I think a lot of the stuff that's available on there also wears off pretty quickly. And that's just a problem with how hard and expensive it is to develop like high quality VR experiences. Also, not a lot of people want to be in VR for a long time because they get sick and all that great stuff.
And it's one of those things, I think with a lot of things too, you have creative ideas based off of other creative things that already exist. Like you get, you see something and then you get inspired to make something else. And maybe because there's not a whole lot of VR games out there, not a whole lot of people are, there's not a huge VR market, so that's a thing. Not a lot of people want to funnel money, even if they have great ideas for full-fledged games. There's just not a ton of full-fledged VR games that really take what VR is to heart, besides just being like, oh, you're playing Skyrim, but like you're in Skyrim too. That's pretty cool, huh? You know, you're just playing a first person game, but it's not like the same as the Oasis in Ready Player One or whatever, you know, right. I mean, it'll be a long time before we get to there. But yeah, no, I think that's a really good point where, I mean, like I said, with the other Labo things, they're also more experiences. I think that was probably a disappointment, is if you're going into it thinking that it's going to be a game. It's just like, there are games in there. And I think it is exciting that there are games in this one as well. And I do wonder too, so with the Toy-Con Garage stuff, that was the most interesting part of it, I think, where not only are there each of the games for, so there's a couple games for the blaster one, and there's a couple games for, you know, the different things that you use. But then, although the one for the camera kind of didn't make a lot of sense. It seemed like it was just like, yeah, just take some pictures. Like,
yeah, I mean, pretty much. And then everybody, which I think I'm not even going to talk about it because there's a question for it in the Q&A.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, I know exactly what she's going to say. But yeah, the camera, I think, is mostly odd because, like, I don't know if I understand. Maybe just nobody mentioned the, like, game aspect of it where, like, you get scores or something like that. But it seems like if all it is you're underwater, I think in the same environment actually as the fishing game from the first Labo set, it seems like, at least, I could be totally wrong on that, but it seems like, all right, you get to take 3 pictures down here, and then wow, you've got some 3 pictures. But
you got some 3 pictures.
I kind of wonder with that, like, well, if there's not a reason for these 3 pictures to be like, you know, the best combination of 3 pictures that you've got, like, why limit it to 3? I don't know. It just seems a little bit, I'm not totally sure I understand that, but maybe there's more to it than we know. But in any case, all that to say, there's all those games, you got options, blah, blah, blah. But the plaza that has the 64 games in there, that's very exciting because there's other things to do with all those. And then the fact that you can make stuff yourself is also cool.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are kind of iffy on that. Not with this specifically, but the idea of a game about making games.
Right.
Because not a lot of people are like think of games in that way. They want to play the game. They buy the game to play an experience that's already existing, not to necessarily make their own. And there obviously is always going to be a contingent of people that really wants to make cool stuff, and they do, which I think is a factor of Labo that's kind of limited. Because, like, what if this was connected to the internet?
Yeah.
Like, that'd be so dope.
That's
if
what
you could just download other people's VR stuff, like their experiences that they make.
I mean, like Mario Maker, that's, you know, the whole thing. Exactly. That's why Mario Maker 3DS is kind of a bust because, like,
true,
you can't play other people's levels in the same, you know. So that would be something for sure. Like, you can, if I'm not good at making stuff, but other people are, then I can play other people's things. I think the curation would be the hard part for that, because you can obviously get people making stuff that is inappropriate or even just not good or something.
Yeah,
so
I mean, same problem that they have with Mario, though. Like, you can make inappropriate things in Mario Maker.
Yeah, I guess so. So, I mean, that's definitely something. I would hope that they've thought of that as well, and that they've got something to where that could be a thing, because that would be the longevity of it at that point. If that's something you're worried about, then the longevity is you get to have new experiences every, I don't know, couple weeks or so, just going back in, seeing a couple inventions people made that were maybe even curated and put out there to add to the plaza, or, you know, maybe even Nintendo adds stuff to the plaza themselves. I kind of doubt it, but maybe. But I think it seems like I don't know if they realized and changed, or this one was always planned to be like this, but it just has more gameplay than the other ones did. So as far as if longevity is your issue, it seems like that's a little bit improved in any case right now.
Right. And I think that they improved that with, like, the vehicle kit too. Like, the vehicle kit was like the thing that was like, oh, okay, this is a game.
Yeah. And whether or not it's the game that you want to be playing, you know, that's
I mean,
debatable. But so VR stuff, that's real neat. Speaking of things that you might want to be playing, Google Stadia. Somebody might want to be playing this, and other people might not.
Yep.
There's a lot of different little tidbits about this, but I don't think we necessarily need to go too much into the nitty gritty of, like, the because, like, Bob and Will were talking on the Wolf Den about a lot of the technical stuff, and I think that's one of those things where, like, I feel a little bit like it about the technical stuff for this as I do when the Switch was first revealed, and like everybody was talking just about the tech specs for a really long time, and that they were like, it's gonna suck because it's only got 3 hours of battery, or it's gonna suck because it's only got a 720, all those kinds of things, which very well could have been accurate, but also like I guess we don't totally. It's not.
It's just like everybody tries to compare these things from the scope of what they know. As like most people think of specs in the way that they think of building a computer.
Right.
And building a computer is not the same thing as a corporation creating a consumer product.
Right.
They have a lot more access to the metal, as it were. So they can get a lot more oomph out of specs that like would be a potato if you built a PC out of it. But
yeah,
it's a whole nother thing when the company is able to optimize everything.
So yeah, that said, yeah, I don't know. What were your initial thoughts on this, or
I've always been in on the idea of cloud gaming. I don't know if Stadia specifically is a thing that's going to like get me to like be really invested, because I don't care to play games on my computer.
Right.
I guess if I had a Chrome stick or whatever, I could play it on that, but I just don't really have an interest in getting that either. So it's like I want to check it out because it seems like a cool thing that people can do. Like the YouTuber specific things were interesting to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously. Just being able to like play games with our audience and being like, hey, I'm playing this thing, let's all play this level together or whatever, or the like the concept of like, oh, 1,000 people in a battle royale, like that's neat. But I just don't know how invested I would be on the end of like Google's ecosystem in the way that like I don't really care about most PlayStation exclusives, so I don't play my PlayStation that much.
Right.
Like who's to say I'll care about Google's exclusives?
Yeah.
And third-party games I just don't. I mean, it depends on what it is, but for the most part, like when I hear third-party game announced, I'm not like, oh, I can't wait until that one comes out. Like I can't even think of a third-party game right now that like I'm hyped for. Like the only game
other
that
than all the
of,
next Call of Duties, your favorites.
Of course, obviously. But the only games that I could think of right now that I'm like hyped for are first-party games from Nintendo. Where it's like the Yoshis and the Animal Crossings and the Pokemons and the Metroids and like all that stuff. But I can't think of a third-party game that I'm amped for. So like to buy into another platform that play just those games is kind of like, eh. But I do like the concept, and I do want Google to team up with Nintendo, Google Map style, and put Stadia on Switch.
Well, yeah. Here's a question. So it sounds like xCloud is coming to Switch for sure.
Also true. So
would you prefer if it had to be one or the other? Would you have a preference between the two?
I think the YouTube side of things makes me want Stadia more, but something that I think people are underselling is like Microsoft is way more prepped for this than Google.
Yes.
Like just as far as like infrastructure goes, like a lot of people are like, it's Google, like they're so set, like they have so many servers and stuff, like, but Microsoft has like 2 times the servers or something like that that Google does. So it's like, I don't know about that, like Microsoft is set for this.
Yeah.
So yeah, the YouTube side of things makes me want to be on the Google side of things, but at the same time, there's a lot of like red flags with Google. Also, like we joked about it before about them, like how their business model is like, our product is you. I don't know if I want to be on that side of it either,
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Stealing data and any of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't want you leaking my freaking Ivysaur combos. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, because I've been leaking your Ivysaur combos all over the place. Yeah, I think if it were up to me between the two, I would also say I'd prefer xCloud rather than Stadia on Switch. I mean, if they were both on there, that's great, cool.
Yeah, I can't see that though. I feel like if somebody's going to invest like that type of infrastructure on a Nintendo platform, they're going to want to have that exclusive relationship, so they can say we're the exclusive cloud streaming service of Nintendo. You know, like,
And I think it would be Xbox for a lot of reasons, or Microsoft.
They're already best friends.
Right.
They're already buddies,
yeah.
you know?
And I think I would prefer it too, just because, like, even though Microsoft hasn't put out a ton of first-party stuff lately, and the stuff they have put out wasn't
They're more
great.
proven than Google, which has none.
Yeah, for sure. And also, they've bought a bunch of studios, so that next generation, probably, there's going to be a lot more. So, like, you know, I've never played a Fable game, but I've heard they're great. So, like, if a new Fable game comes out, if I can play that on my Switch, even if I'm streaming it, awesome. That would be dope. And they also have, I think the Game Pass thing, too, would make me want to, you know, they've already got that all set up. Although, then again, I don't know how Stadia is set up as far as pricing and any of that.
Yeah.
What do you think? What are your thoughts on just how they're going to do that in general?
Like, it's a full spectrum in terms of like how I think they might monetize it, because like how they're communicating it almost makes it sound like they don't want to talk about the price, or maybe it doesn't have one that's direct. You know, like knowing Google, it could just be free and it's ad supported,
right?
Which would be weird.
Would be.
They could do like. You know, like a service of like you buy the game and you have that game. But I don't know if that's sustainable on their end in terms of like sustaining the platform.
Right.
Even though like I don't know if it's like any real additional cost for them, because they already have the servers and they've had them.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much more that would add to their expenses and how much money they would need to generate to like maintain that. So like, would that be enough revenue to not only maintain but also to add to the amount of money that they're making to make Stadia worth it in the first place? And then the last possibility is a subscription model, and that can go from anywhere from it's $10 a month, which would be cool, to like it's $50 a month, which would not be cool, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I could see them doing the $10 a month subscription service thing, or maybe like 15 or something like that. Mostly because one bit of it that I thought was interesting in any case is watching when they were like, yeah, you can just watch a trailer for a game and then hit play, and it was seamless to where you started playing it. It seems like there's not a barrier of entry of price right at the, like, to buy the game immediately. Or if there is, you get like the first 5 minutes free or something, which they didn't show us a whole 5 minutes of playing before getting into, you know, that kind of thing. So like maybe you get to play it for a little bit, and then if you want to buy it, you know, every game has a demo pretty much. Otherwise, subscription service would probably be that, where you've already paid for it, and then you can just, you know, any games you can just go in and play. I guess one other thing too, this is tangentially related, but I feel like a lot of conversations around this have talked about disappointment, where like, well, I'm not excited about it because where's the games? Like, they haven't talked about games they're doing or the pricing or lots of things. And I think it's important to remember that they were talking at GDC, and even though it was broadcasted to everybody, it technically was, whether, you know, I don't know, whatever. It was technically a thing for game developers that we all got to also observe, even though obviously they wanted everybody to know about it as well. But they were introducing it by way of showing it to game developers, which is at least gave them an out to being able to explain why they didn't talk about a bunch of games or any of that kind of thing, because, you know, they weren't talking to you or me, technically speaking. They were trying to show. And so that's why, like, there were a lot of things where little bits of news that seemed kind of irrelevant to to fans, to consumers, exactly, yeah, but we're definitely relevant to game developers. Like, they were mentioning, when you develop your game on here, you can, you know, we don't scale you down to, you know, you don't have to scale down to being able to make it run on a...
You have 10 whole teraflops.
Right. Yeah. And even then, they talked about how, like, if you need more, it'll give you more. It'll scale up with you, or that kind of thing, something like that, which is like, on our side, who really cares? Like, if it works, it works, you know. But for developers, I guess that's exciting. So theoretically, I guess they're making it as easy as possible to put games on it. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know anything about that.
That's another thing where it's like a lot of people are like, most gamers that I know and that I'm seeing talk about this thing, even with Logan's video, like, they seem more down on it than anything, because they're kind of like, I don't trust this. You know, like, I don't think that this is going to work. Or if it, on the other end of it, if it does work, I don't want that to be like my only option for consuming games in the future. I want to have like this tangible thing, and so on and so forth. Where do you land on that side of it? Like, what are your like internet speeds, for example?
I need a better router. So technically, I've got a max of like 100 megabits per second, technically, whatever. Which that bugs me. That's a side note, but so I've got that, but my router kind of sucks. So I've really got more like 25, 35 max as Wi-Fi, but then plugged in, I'll get somewhere in the 80-ish range. Okay. So reasonably speaking, I'd probably have enough to theoretically do 4K if I was in the living room with it, because they said you need 30 megabits per second to do 4K, but I don't know. It wouldn't be consistent in any case, and I definitely couldn't. I don't know, but so as far as all that stuff goes, and just what my opinions too on streaming versus owning, and it's so hard to know for sure, because like, who's to say what the future holds? I don't know. Like old physical media also is going to eventually, get destroyed, where, like old NES cartridges aren't all going to always be fine. Like, sure, they're going to keep some of them fine, but in 100 years, most NES cartridges are going to be just falling apart. So, there's that, but also I'm not going to be alive in 100 years, so who really cares on my side?
You don't know. You don't know about modern technology.
You're not wrong. I sure don't know anything about it.
Yeah, they might be able to keep our NES cartridges alive. I don't know about you, but the NES cartridges...
My NES cartridges will be playing me, was where I was going with that, and then I got tongue-tied. But I think some kind of streaming service, to me, like just for me as a consumer, having my Switch and some kind of streaming service would pair great with each other, because honestly, the big third-party AAA games or whatever, probably, I mean, like you said, they're ones that I'm excited about. Some of them, like, it would be cool to play, but they're not the ones that I like really care about. So I'd be fine with pretty much just playing it and then being done.
Right.
So like, my friend Mitch is playing Sekiro today. Just because that just came out, and he's really excited about that, and I would be down to play that until I'm done with that game, and then I will never touch it again, just because it's like a one-time experience kind of a game, as opposed to some other ones that are a little bit more like mean more to me, like Mario games or Zeldas. Like, to me, they just mean more. So I can't speak for the average consumer at all, but I can speak for myself that like something like Google Stadia or xCloud alongside the Switch would be phenomenal, and I'd probably play it on my Switch, definitely not on my phone, maybe on my TV. I think is about how it would go. Yeah.
So for me, I'm obviously like in a different place as far as like internet speed and stuff like that than a lot of people are, because I have gigabit speeds because my job is the internet.
Right.
So on that end, I'm not really worried about it, because like on a bad day, I get 200 up and down.
Yeah.
So like on that end, I'm like, I'm not really worried about it. And like selfishly, like when people are like, well, speeds aren't good enough and blah, 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 and it's like it's not consistent enough. And it's like, yeah, but like when it's not consistent, like on my end, I'm like, I'm getting way more than I need in that regard. Anyway. So speeds, cool. Like I tried Project Stream, worked great. Didn't have any problems.
Yeah.
Of course, there's always the possibility of like, what if there's a thunderstorm and your internet goes out and stuff like that? Yeah, but like if the thunderstorm happens and my internet goes down, my power's probably going to go out too, and I won't be able to play a game anyway.
You can play your Switch. Yeah.
True. And there's also been times where like my internet's out. Like a power line knocks something or whatever, right? Whatever, dude. Like sometimes you just can't play the game. I'm more worried about the fact that I can't upload a video when that happens than I am like, I can't play this video game that I own or whatever.
And also so probably if it's on the cloud like that you're streaming it probably would be more reliable that it would save, as opposed to, like if something like that happens and the connection gets lost, it would probably just save where you're at, as opposed to a local game, like, I don't know, your PS4 theoretically could get fried, or, I mean, that, hopefully not. You're plugged into a power strip and whatever, but at least, I mean, it wouldn't have saved where you stopped, so there's something going for you on that front, at least.
True. And I'm also like all digital now anyway, just because like at the beginning I would go physical because there were like incentives as far as pricing goes. Like I have an Amazon Prime subscription,
right,
so I got the 20% off or whatever, but that's dead.
Yep.
And now also like the games that I get, I don't really pay for anyway, and they're just, I get them how I get them. So like Bandai Namco might send me a physical game, but 9 times out of 10, it's more economical for developers to send me keys. So that's what they do.
Yep.
So it's just like in that regard, I don't really have like this attachment to like collecting things. It's like, okay, cool, I have the thing, and like even with like things like action figures and like plushies and all that stuff, I really only buy this stuff because it's like, okay, I need this because it'll look good on camera, you know.
Yeah.
I don't really like, even with amiibos, like I bought a few that's like, this one, I like this one's cool. You know, I bought those, but I never really had the desire to be like, I need to own all of them.
Yeah.
So I'm not in that part of the demographic of like, I need to physically have this thing for me to like truly appreciate its value, or to feel secure in that I still own it, because I'll always own it, even if I'm never going to play it again. I know that I could.
Right. Yeah, that's,
I don't really have
the
that. Tricky
tricky thing for sure is just like, you don't know what will or won't future-proof stuff in general. You know, it's impossible to say at this point. So, I mean, it does seem like it would be more reliable to have something physically than not physically, but that's,
right,
you know, still not necessarily, I don't know. I guess it's not, it's just saying that we might be at a point where everything will just be fine on digitally. Like, yes, there's a couple of use cases where you can't buy Scott Pilgrim versus the World digitally anymore. Like it just doesn't, that game is gone. But the fact that we can name a specific one kind of goes to show that, like, yeah, we're moving out of that phase for the most part. And I could be wrong on that for sure, but it's like, what would you rather risk it on or bank on or whatever, you know?
And I think that a lot of the problems that we have arise because it's not ubiquitous. Like, it's not this thing that everybody does. So like digital just isn't as important to like think to preserve, because it's just not something that everybody does yet, you know?
Yeah.
Like nobody's thinking of like, this is how you take care of your DVDs when DVDs are just announced, you know?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Like even now people are still like questioning if like, will disc rot become a prevalent thing? Like we should know that already. If it's this, like, we wouldn't have these questions if it was already a thing that was established for a long enough time for people to have these problems and be able to solve them. So on that end, I think that a lot of the things that people are saying, like the internet speed's not good enough, or the infrastructure in the US in general is not good enough. I think it's kind of the same thing that I talk about a lot with like video game ecosystems, where it's like a big reason why Nintendo's online isn't great is because they don't have the games that need great online.
Right. Yeah.
Like PUBG didn't come out on Xbox before they had the infrastructure. They had the infrastructure, and it's like, okay, yeah, this makes sense to have this game on there. So like as Nintendo has more and more developers saying like, hey, we want to put this game on there, but your online's X, Y, and Z, they're not going to have it like that. And I think that it's the same way with stuff like this. If a lot of consumers go to Xfinity or Verizon or, you know, whatever your ISP is, and say, yo, I want to use this service for X, Y, and Z, get it together, they're going to have to do that, you know?
No, absolutely. It's, I guess, another aspect of all this, too, that I was thinking about is, I wonder, so it seems like, in any case, doing, for both Google and Microsoft, doing their cloud streaming stuff probably will reach a lot more casuals, for lack of a better term, or I mean, just, or actually just non-gamers at this point, like people that are like, yeah, it would be cool to play that game, but I don't want to buy a console. So that's just something that's prohibitive because it's, you know, $200 or whatever.
And that brings up another thought. where it's like, yeah, now these things are backed by major corporations. Like if OnLive went up to Comcast and was like, hey, you need to improve your infrastructure for our product, they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. But if Microsoft goes to Comcast and they're like, yo, we have this product and you're messing up our money, they're gonna be like, okay, cool. You know, like,
yep. Yeah, and like, I guess one of the thoughts that I had with that too is, what does that mean are microtransactions going to be that much more prevalent in games now? Because we're used to that in Candy Crush and like mobile games because they're free or there's a low barrier to entry in those in the first place. And like, obviously there's already tons of microtransactions in a bunch of AAA games or whatever. But will there be even more because the people that are being reached are people that are even more used to it, as opposed to, you and me and everybody who's listening probably right now is more used to, has been gaming for a while and is used to traditional games where you pay a certain amount and then that's it. But now that clientele will be changing.
I think it really might depend on who the company is,
Yeah.
Because like, as far as like, is it possible for them to do this on this scale and then be able to like monetize it successfully without having to like do all these like microtransactions and stuff like that? I think they definitely would be able to, because it's just more consumers, like it's not really adding that much to like your overhead to have 20 million more people have access to your game.
Right.
That's 20 million more people playing your game, and they gave you money in whatever way that they did.
Yep.
So I don't know if they would need to monetize it like that. I think a lot of companies would look at it as an opportunity to monetize it more, though.
Yes, I think that's exactly it. Man, there's a lot of interesting stuff.
Get ready to hate Activision and EA even more.
Yeah, I'm pretty... I don't know, maybe not confident, but I'm pretty sure that Google will show up at E3 now. Maybe not, but it seems like if Sony's gone... I
feel like if they're going to do it, it probably wouldn't be this year. I think it's just too soon.
Well, I think they talked about Stadia was going to be out in 2019, though.
Yeah, but it's not going to be out everywhere in 2019.
Oh, gotcha.
Also, like, you had to imagine it's going to be like a pretty early stage of Stadia where it's like we have 20, not even 20, we have 10 games.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
For the rest of this year, and then next year we'll have 10 more games. Which, I mean, they'll probably expand faster than that.
Right.
But as far as like games that are worthwhile having at E3, maybe they'll have that at E3 2020. And it's like, here's what our next 8 to 12 months are going to look like.
Yep. I mean, especially because the people that they've got a lot of like, people who've worked in game development companies for a long time that are actually working, or, like people that worked at AEA or whatever, their VP did a bunch of good stuff. But it seems like all that happened pretty recently to where, who's to say that how long they've been actually working on that side of this stuff, all the businessy stuff. I don't know. I'm running out of words.
Something that's not on here, I don't know if you saw this announcement or not. PlayStation is straight up ripping off Nintendo Directs, which I find interesting because when Nintendo Directs first started and everybody was like, Nintendo eventually got to the point where it's like, we don't really need E3, we have Nintendo Directs.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, this is insane, Nintendo's so tone deaf, blah, blah, blah. Here we are 8 years after Nintendo Directs became a thing, and Microsoft kind of already did ape the format a little bit. They're not really great at it. They more do Treehouse Lives than they do Nintendo Directs. But now Sony seems to be just straight up saying like, okay, here, we're going to take that. Yep. We're going to use that thing that you do, and we're going to call it State of Play. And apparently we're going to get new update or people that care about that sort of thing. I don't know how much of you have PlayStations. I'd assume a lot of you do, just because how numbers work.
Accurate. Numbers do work.
But they're going to share new updates and announcements for PlayStation 4 and PSVR software.
Yeah, I do wonder if it'll be... I mean, we'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out Monday if it's going to be more like Xbox, Inside Xbox, or like a Nintendo Direct. Because Nintendo Directs are really fun. Inside Xbox... Apparently, I haven't watched one, but apparently not so much. They're just a little bit boring.
I said, it's more like a Treehouse Live stream than it is like a Nintendo Direct.
Yep. which I like the Treehouse Lives, but that's because I like the stuff that they show there most of the time, and I don't really care about the stuff that Xbox shows at theirs. And that's all right.
Same. And like I watched like the first one, the first, which I'll probably do with this. So like this is an audition for them, basically, of like, okay, what are they doing with this? So we'll see. Maybe they'll show some cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and even for Nintendo fans, it could be cool because maybe they'll show games that are cross-platform but are just being announced for PS4 first, you know, which most of which would probably end up being, I guess, like, I don't know, JRPGs or something like that, but maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, so I'll talk about that more in my video, probably. I mean, I'm going to have to add more to it. Because the scripting largely starts a little bit of behind the scenes, but the scripting largely starts during the weekend. So like Saturday and Sunday is like where a lot of the video will come from. So I won't really be able to like go deep in like what they announced, if they announce anything that matters or their formats and stuff like that. But it is going to be part of the like, this is why I think Nintendo should do what Xbox and PlayStation are doing, because they always do what they do. Like, you know, Xbox and Sony always steal from Nintendo, so it's their turn.
Yeah. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say. But now's the part of the video where we talk about things that we already did say. So AJ and everybody has videos that go up throughout the week. Hopefully, if anybody's listening to this, you also have been watching those videos. I would be baffled if not, but if you didn't, then go do it. And so
what he said,
we're going to talk about some comments for AJ's video and some that were on my video as well, and see what you guys had to say. But before we get into that, the only things that I had to say, I mean, you mentioned a lot of great points on your Smash Bros talk. One of the things that I thought too that would be cool is you talked about the training mode not being great. And I feel like some kind of like actual, I mean, you gave some examples of things that would be neat and like telling you what to do, but I mentioned like Simon Says type thing where like turn training into a game of some sort where like different characters will show you combos or show you, I don't know, things that like try to do this as well, or something along those lines where like training is more like it is in The Matrix or whatever, where Neo and Morpheus are fighting as opposed to just, you know, like a blob just hanging out there.
Yeah. Because like I wanted to put footage in there of like, this is kind of what I want to do, but I don't want to capture it. It was too much.
Yep.
It's too much stuff. But Dragon Ball FighterZ is like a recent relevant a recent relative fighting game that does something similar, and a lot of fighting games do it where it's like, here's this combo, do this, right? And like you can play the video of like, this is what the combo looks like and how the timing is and stuff like that. Combos don't really exist in the same way in Smash Brothers. They're more like this ad hoc, like, I mean not ad hoc, but it's like
a little bit,
like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
It just on the fly sort of situation of like, oh, you're here, so I can do this next. But there are like basic combos that like everybody, like the obvious combo that a lot of people have come to know fighting me with Squirtle is like down throw up B is free. That's a free combo. You can't do anything after that. Yeah, up until like 50%. A lot of people do down throw up air or up throw up air with Ivysaur. Like there's certain combos that like just exist, and it's like you can't really DI out of this until you get to here, and then once you're here, you can only do but so much against this combo. So it's like they should like do a better job at like helping people to either find that out on their own and like encourage that by saying like, try this against this character to do this and see what happens next, you know, or directly telling you like, this works. Yeah, this combo works for this character. Because as it is, like, only people that already think that way and say, I wonder what this move leads into, they're the only ones that know how to use training mode. The only people that's like, yo, I'm about to lab out some combos are the people that understand that. Everybody else is like, what does that even mean? Yeah. You're about to hit the lab? What is that? Yeah. What is this lab? Yeah. So that's the thing. But now that was pretty much all the thoughts that I had, because you mentioned a lot of things and blah, blah. Going on. Oh, we've got some comments from you guys, and we're going to read them and talk about them. Falcon
Hashtag comment challenge. Quality of...
I had to pull this one because, again,
Yeah.
Falcon is good at this game. So I know that his feedback is coming from a good place.
Yep. Quality of life changes all around. For example, you can set default rules, control schemes, and music. Why can't I have the game remember my character selection after the match is over with? Very true. Also, why can't I use different tags online? Battle arenas need help.
True.
In Smash 4, you could change the rules, characters, and stages on the fly. Why do I have to shut the arena down and hope my friends come back only because I wanted to update the rule set? I shouldn't lose my place in line because I've changed my mind on a character I'm playing as. If I decide that I want to stop playing and I have an arena with 4 other players, they shouldn't have to make a whole new arena just because I left. Hashtag Smash 4 did it better. Not so much a Smash Ultimate exclusive issue, but I should be able to invite my friends who are online to join my game. Nintendo needs to fix Nintendo Switch Online as a whole. One thing I would like to see return is replay sharing and directly uploading to YouTube. The new replay share thing is too involved. Not difficult, just not really convenient. Again, hashtag Smash 4 did it better. Yes, I'm reusing these assets' favorite feature, savable rule sets, and the radar, actually.
Truth.
That's a lot of things, and
it's all true. That's a lot of stuff that Smash 4, and it's like I touched on that where it's like the arenas are just real dumb, where it's like this is the rule set and that's it, and you can't change nothing, which makes no sense to me and how I play Smash Brothers. Because a lot of times when I'm playing Smash Brothers, like with a certain group of friends or family, they're like, okay, we played enough like this, let's try this, let's raise the percent, you know, like let's do a crazy match where it's 2.0 damage ratio, like knockback ratio or whatever, and turn it on all explosives.
Yep.
And let's pick this stage or whatever, you know. And you can't go from like, okay, these are the official stages, we're playing 3 stocks, 7 minutes, you know, like we're playing competitive rules. You can't do that without making a whole new room, which is dumb.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to do that in local play. You don't have to be like, all right, let me exit out of Smash mode and then go back in. You know, like, that's dumb.
I think because you mentioned that there's just a big disconnect between local and online and like the way that those work. And I think that's a big point. Is just like, as we've grown up, and a lot of us have, and we've moved away from each other and stuff, we want to play Smash, obviously the competitive way for some people, but then also some people want to just be able to play like the way we'd play in local multiplayer, which is just have fun and switch stuff up and, you know, mess with all the rules and whatever. Be able to do those with our friends that we can't actually be locally with as well. Yeah. So,
and even like on a competitive angle, like there's certain things that are locked out of online play that just don't make sense. Like you can't do best 2 out of 3 battles like in the game through online, but it has that option locally. Like what? Like that's so dumb.
Yep.
It doesn't make any sense.
Can you do? I really just don't know. The tournament mode, is that only local?
Yes, which is stupid. Yeah. It's real dumb.
I wonder.
Like we have had a tournament in the past with Wolf Den, and we're going to do another one. Spoilers. I'm not going to say when, but we're doing one. It would be so much easier if we could just use the tournament feature to have the tournament instead of being like, here's an arena and like, I don't know, Lizdrin has to set it up or, you know, Disc Jew or whatever. And he has to be in all these tournaments and then you join in and then you got to leave and blah, blah. Why can't everybody that's in the tournament watch the tournament and be in the tournament?
No, exactly. Hopefully that's stuff that they'll, you know, maybe even fix in update 3, but that's, those were a lot of good things, Falcon, that you mentioned that all need to be changed. Or at least, even if they don't need to, it would be really nice if they did. Yeah. All right, next up we got Sega Disney Universe. Says, I definitely agree with the GSP system. They should have made it similar to the Street Fighter ranking point system, where if you win against players with higher skill, you earn more points, and less when playing against less skilled players. However, that would be so annoying since Smurfers would ruin your day by string over your hard-earned points. That's just normal words. Also, I feel that the developers intentionally set the 1 stock option to give the newbies a chance to reach elite. I admittedly do 1 stock 3 minutes with Hazard on sometimes out of pure salt when I lose to a laggy player.
Okay, so the second point, just because recency bias, I think that would be dumb if the developers intentionally did that to reach something that is called elite.
Right.
You know, like, let's give people a way to cheese their way into being considered good at this game. You know, like, I think that would be kind of stupid.
But it definitely could be an oversight in that realm for sure.
Right.
No, yeah. I mean, I've mentioned this on the podcast before, that there was a little while when I was trying to get all the achievements and stuff, and I was trying to get lots of, and I just don't play online all that much, so I was trying to get as many fighters as possible in online Smash, just playing with them. And so I definitely set it for one stock 3 minutes, just to like, and even I didn't care if I lost particularly. I was just trying to get as many people in there as possible. And I think I didn't even get up maybe just past 30, like 32 or something. But
yeah, I mean, at that point, it just bothered me. Like, and really, I mean, admittedly, this is like a selfish thing on my end. It's like, I don't really care what you do below, 3.5 million. I don't care about that, because that doesn't concern me. Yeah. But like, if you're in that level, like, if you're over 3 million, you got, come on. Like, let's be serious here. Like, you got to be more respectable than that.
Yep. You know, but I mean, I think the Sega Disney Universe, your point with the GSP system, and that's kind of what you were saying, AJ, too, in the video, but yeah, is a good point, that I think it's just logical that if somebody's got more than you and you beat them, you should get more than if you beat somebody with lower GSP than you. Like, that's just pretty straightforward, but it's just not the way that it is.
And on, like, his point of, like, there would be a lot of people that, like, again, are even, like, trying to, like, cheese you. I think that should come part and parcel with the idea of, like, this rating system of, like, this player sucks to play against, like, he's not you know, and then have it be by committee, so it's not just like a few people that are salty that you're way better than they are. Or even have, like, if you have a certain level of, like, this is a bad player, have actual people review, like, okay, like, look at a match that they do, or however many matches that they do, and say, okay, yeah, this player does use their lag to their advantage, or whatever, you know, and place them with that. And there's a lot of stuff that, like, they already have access to. Like, you can see on your end as a developer, like, okay, yeah, this player generally has a terrible connection. Like, their internet strength is not great. So you should place them with people that have similar internet. Rather than, like, punishing other people that actually are prepared to play this game online by matching them with them. Because that just is inherently unfair, because the person that has bad internet is used to playing in bad internet, so they're adjusting their strategy to how laggy the game is for them. And the other player is used to playing more smooth matches generally, and they're not used to the lag, and they're not playing like this is just normal. I played a match where it was super laggy, and I think it might have been my fault, because I was playing handheld, but, like, kind of far from my router. But in any case, again, it was whatever, it doesn't matter. I was playing it was super laggy, and I was doing surprisingly well. It was like I was Jigglypuff versus a Mega Man, and Mega Man did not enjoy, because, like, especially with everything that's ranged, like, he couldn't time it really at all. And at some point, the internet just got better, and also I think the timer, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like, well, no, in this case at least, it was definitely tied to the frame rate or the speed of the match or whatever. So it was going super slow. So, like, it was a 6 or 7 minute match. I never even paid attention to that. Yeah. Because usually, like, the time limit's not a factor unless somebody's, like, super campy. Right. Unless I'm fighting somebody that sets the match to 3 stock 2 minutes or whatever, you know? Yeah. So this one, it wasn't even that the time limit came into play as far as it ending, but just I was looking up and I was like, all right, when's this going to end? And it was like 2 minutes in the game, but definitely was 6 or 7 minutes in real life, where it was like, good. And finally it just got better at some point, and immediately the tables turned, because I had been winning, and, like, immediately he started winning, because, like, everything got smoother again, and he could do, you know, regular things. He or she, I don't know, the person, but Mega Man. So, what a time. Yep. Next up, we got Colin McRae. Says, I think you missed one. My cousin. It's my cousin.
Oh, it's
not actually my cousin. It's not actually.
AJ, you're such a liar. I think you missed one flaw, which has probably been my biggest letdown with the game, and that's the fact that you can't do couch co-op in the battle arena. That literally killed the game on launch day for me because
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's stupid.
Yeah, no, agreed. Because my friends were playing my brother's Switch, but I live in another city. We were really shocked to find out that they couldn't all join me on his console in the BA? I don't know what that means. Battle Arena. Gotcha. It makes absolutely no sense either, considering you can couch co-op and randoms and play randoms online in Quick Match. I have experienced this as well. Yeah, I tried to play my wife's cousin. He's got a Switch, and he and his wife were like, "Hey, well, you want to play Smash?" And they live like an hour or two away, and we're like, "Yeah, sure." And we figured out, yep, you can't like choose who you want to play doubles against on Wi-Fi. You just have to play one-on-one and take turns.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Because I guess I never really tried that. The only people I play locally with have their own Switch, so we just play local Wi-Fi. You know.
Yep.
If we're going to play online with other people, we use our own Switches. So yeah.
Can you play multiple people in a battle arena? You can, right? Or, I mean, like, more than two people. Can you play, like, 4 players in a battle arena?
Oh, yeah.
You just have to set
the rules.
You can't
do more than 4, though. It's capped at 4.
Gotcha.
But you can do, like, team battles and all that good deer stuff.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That it's not more than 4, though, just because, I don't know, Wi-Fi, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But, yeah, Colin, AJ's cousin, agreed. That's the same kind of stuff where, like, I think they need to start thinking about online or just having an online mode, which probably is just battle arena, function in as many of the same ways as possible as local. And there you go.
Yes.
Just kind of mix and match and make it work. So, last up we got JBell17 that says, I said this before, but Quick Play needs to make rule sets an actual rule and not a suggestion. It sucks that I continue getting item matches when I have that off and weird stages when I have Battlefield. And also, Battlefield and Omega together, like mentioned, and don't give me a match where the competitor has double my GSP or half. I'm trying to get better.
Yeah. Agreed on this full thing, but specifically I want to touch on the first thing. Yes, it's so stupid that preferred rules is not actually that.
Right.
It's like this would be like how I like to play best, but I'm fine with whatever you want to give me. Like, no, that's not what this is. Like, I would be fine waiting an extra 20 seconds for you to find another person, because I feel like the majority of people that are playing this game online, especially at that level of GSP, want to play at least a little bit respectively.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, I want to play like 3-minute stocks. I mean, not 3-minute stock, 3 stocks, however many minutes, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure they don't want to play 1 stock items on high, any stage, all that stuff. Like, that's super casual, like low tier stuff. If I'm playing against somebody like that, they probably have DDD.
Right.
And like, that's the only time I can see somebody that high with their GSP and having that rule set.
Right.
So it can't be hard to find another player that has this preference. Why, though, do I ever have matches where it's not that? Like, yesterday, I legit got matched in a team match that was 2 minutes, 1 stock, items on freaking Rainbow Cruise. I'm like, what? And what world? Like, you missed every single preference.
Yep.
Every preference was wrong. How is it? I don't know,
but they got Rainbow Cruise right, so you're good to go there. That's the only stage you like.
It's obviously, yeah. It's like the game said, yeah, no, we don't want to give you any of that, which is stupid.
Yeah.
As far as the Battlefield and Omega together, yes, I agree with that, because I think Battlefield and Omega are both like competitively sound. I think that, like, depending on what your character is, you do have like Omega, Little Mac inherently has a higher chance of winning on Omega than he would on Battlefield,
Right, yeah.
Like, Battlefield suits like a character like Ivysaur more than an Omega form of a stage would. So it would be good to shuffle it between both of those, because
so you can't always have the advantage or
right.
Yeah.
As far as the GSP thing, yeah, this mode is terrible at like trying to get better at the game. It's real bad at that because most people aren't like, if you're trying to get good at a certain matchup, you're like, oh, well, I struggle against Ganon. I want to learn how to fight him. I mean, you'll find a lot of Ganons, but for the most part, if you're fighting somebody that's Ganon, they're just trying to cheese you and they're going to leave immediately. If you could lock it in so that like, I only want to do best 2 out of 3s, that'd be great. The technology exists. It's in the game. In the half GSP or double GSP, I both don't like that, and I like it at the same time, because like I can start playing a character and I know that I'm better than a certain like threshold of it, and I want to be like, okay, I'm coming in and this character could easily be on the level of like my Pokemon trainer, so I want to be able to fight people that are on that level so I can rise up to it faster. But at the same time, it's annoying when you fight somebody that has way lower GSP than you do, and they're one of those cheesy players. So then they just get an easy win and some free GSP. And it's like,
I think anything that has a bunch of online functionality needs to have some kind of like review, or not review system, but you know, something where you can like penalize people for doing things or whatever. I mean, honestly, in an only somewhat similar vein, that like I wish you could review games on the Switch eShop so that like lots of people could kind of come together and be like, this game's bad, don't buy Bounty Bob or whatever. Like, I don't know.
And they kind of flirted with the idea of doing that.
Yeah, and then it never happened yet. So like, I don't know what's up, but it's not there yet, that's for sure. So, man, yeah. But good vidya right there, doing all your stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah, speaking of videos, I did want to ask you guys some questions, and you gave some good answers. Specifically, and I'll ask you first, AJ, because I'm curious, and then we'll get into everybody's comments. If you could only play one genre of game for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Probably action games, which is broad, I guess, but like, I don't know what you call Breath of the Wild. You know, like games like Breath of the Wild or like Mario Odyssey, like that sort of thing. Even though like, I guess Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild are technically different genres because Mario Odyssey is a platformer. Right. But like, most games have like all these asterisks where it's like everything's an RPG.
Yeah. Good point.
So it's like, I don't know. I guess it just depends on like what your definition is. But like, on like in general, the games that like I set aside everything to play and it's like I'm playing this other than Smash Brothers is like the big action games like the Spider-Mans, the Red Dead Redemptions, the Breath of the Wilds, those tentpole releases. Yep. So if I could only do that, then it would probably be action games.
Nice.
Or Smash Brothers, you know.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's an obvious, glaring hole there,
but I wouldn't say fighting games because I don't like all fighting games. I have to care about the IP to care about the fighting game.
No, for sure. We'll read the comments and then I'll say mine at the end. Here we go. First up, Suyong Rai says, I'm a huge sucker for stories, hence RPGs, but with a J in parentheses at the beginning, so maybe JRPGs or RPGs.
Yeah, he's just down for whatever. Yep. It's like, I like JRPGs, I like regular RPGs, I like... Does anybody... like, that's kind of messed up. Like, why are Western RPGs just RPGs?
That's it. I mean, I guess because there is an inherent difference a lot of times with, like...
No, but I'm saying, why do they get to be the one?
I see what you mean. Like, yeah, right. As in, instead it should be RPGs and WRPGs or something like that.
Yeah, like, or JRPGs and also WRPGs or whatever.
I mean, that said, I guess I do feel like you'll hear about people talking about Western RPGs to some degree, but yeah, what would be the... Because I guess, I mean, even a lot of regular like games that you just classify as just RPGs are also Japanese games a lot of times. Like, you know, I guess Breath of the Wild you could categorize as an RPG in some ways. I mean, you can't really because you're not leveling up like that. I think that's the main thing is, are you as a character gaining levels as you're going? Right. And no, you're not.
Which is like, I don't know. RPGs, it's a weird thing, which is like, that's why, because like, the thing that everybody knows is like, I don't really care about RPGs, but at the same time, like, that's not 100% true. Like, I'm not like inherently opposed to like a lot of the mechanics in RPGs. It just so happens that a lot of like the tropes of RPGs is what I don't like. Like, being an RPG doesn't mean that you need to be like bad at your exposition dumps, or like you gotta do like fetch quests and like crap like that, where it's like you can't go and do the thing. You have to be told to go to do the thing before you can go do this thing, like that sort of stuff. Like nothing about that says like, oh, that's what you need to be an RPG. It just so happens to be something that is prevalent in that genre.
Yeah. No, and I think it is. I mean, especially because Suyong mentions stories are like one of the main factors for RPGs and stuff, which
right.
I could definitely feel that. But it's funny because I think that would also be probably one of the genres that I'd pick, except for it's not, and I'll get to that at the end. But still, but I don't really care about stories in games barely at all. Like, which is. I don't know, like, I mean, I enjoyed playing Xenoblade Chronicles, and I cared about the story in it, but I also kind of didn't care about the story at the same time. Like, it was just, I don't know, I just enjoyed the world, and like the gameplay was fun enough, you know, like, I don't know.
Like, that's the thing for me too, where it's like, it's not rare for me to care about a game's world. But like, if I don't already care about the world, I don't care about the story at all.
Yes.
Because a lot of times they're just run of the mill. Like, okay, I've seen this elsewhere and done better at that. You know, like even like the stories that people talk, like they bring up in games. It's like, oh, you got to play The Last of Us. It's a great story, but it's not like this groundbreaking thing overall. You know, like like. Screenwriters aren't going to be like, they're not sitting there like, man, gotta really look to that, because like it's been done before. Like the people that wrote The Last of Us were looking at The Road and like, you know, stuff like that already existed in other mediums. So like in that regard, I'm not really like big on video game stories either.
I mean, and similarly, like
care about it already.
My mom is an avid reader, like reads so much. And I just don't. And I think that's a big thing too, is I care a lot about, I enjoy movies and I enjoy shows, but I think again with those, it's a lot of times I like the worlds of those, and I like the things that happen in those worlds, like Stranger Things, for example. Like I really enjoy that. But like there's the story outside of that. And I guess, I don't know, reading books too, I can't visualize books super well. Like I really have to try hard to like create a world in my mind out of what I'm reading. So I think that's something too where, I really enjoy the worlds of RPGs. So I would agree with Suyong on that front. But I just, for some reason, don't really care about the stories a lot of times. Which is why like I make myself, I mean, I'm interested in cutscenes, but also part of me wants to skip the cutscenes and get back to the action in a lot of things. But a lot of times it'll be like, if the couple times I've even accidentally done that, like in Xenoblade, there's been a couple times the way it mapped the skip cutscene thing. If I pause it during a cutscene, the button that to me would mean resume game instead was skip this cutscene. So I skipped a bunch of cutscenes because of that accidentally, which was lame. But there were a bunch of times I skipped the cutscene and then was like, I don't know what I'm doing now. Like you told me where to go and what to do, but I'm not really sure. So I've got to like go through a bunch of menus to find out. So all that said things, but yeah, so good comment. Next up, these two comments, I'll read them back to back because they're related. James Games Badly Belaruser, there you go, says FPS. I don't even like or are any good at them, but always end up playing them for some reason. And then Derek Lewis says FPS games. While I love many games styles, it's no contest in which type I've put the most time into. They're obviously talking about frames per second games, so very high.
Clearly.
Just kidding.
Yes, clearly.
Yeah, first-person shooters.
Right. This is a genre that like I'm not inherently against, you know, like in the way of like it probably has a lot of tropes that I don't like with RPGs sort of thing. So I don't want to play it. It's just one that I don't spend a lot of time with, so I generally don't have a great time. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like I just am so used to being like at a certain level with most games that I play, and I'm very not with shooters. So it just like makes me not want to play them, except for Splatoon.
Right.
Splatoon's the only one that's like I just immediately caught on to, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get this. This works for me, and I think maybe I would like a lot of shooters more if they also had like motion controls for the aiming, but there we go. Yeah. So like it's a meme at this point that's like, Adrian's bad at battle royale games, and it's like, yeah, but like I also don't play Call of Duty all the time. So like I'd be better if I did, but I don't.
Yep.
Instead, I can destroy you in Smash Brothers. So there's that.
I think this answer is interesting because it's the one that's most accurate, probably, where like there's a whole lot of people that the only games they do play actually are first person shooters. I mean, also, I think the other genre that does that is sports games. Like there's lots of people that will only buy the new FIFA and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, even like Google's CEO, when he went up and talked, he was like, I don't really play games very much, but I play a lot of FIFA. And I was like, all right, good for you, man.
As if it's not a game.
Right. I guess. I don't know. So, but I think it's funny too that both you guys mentioned that James specifically mentioned that he's not very good at them or doesn't even particularly like them, but plays them a lot. So I guess it's just one of those things where, yeah, I don't know.
I play them a lot because, like, in a lot of ways, games are like a social thing,
right?
And a lot of people like shooters. It turns out, so I end up playing them. Where it's like literally the only reason why I even downloaded Fortnite or Apex Legends or PUBG was because Bob or like another friend was like, hey, we should play this, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's not really like a thing of like I'm interested in figuring out what makes people like this or whatever. It's just a thing of like somebody being like, hey, let's play this, and I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, man, I grew up, I guess, mostly just playing games by myself or like with other friends that also played games, but we just weren't playing them particularly together. Other than a little bit here and there, like a friend would come over and it's like, oh, you want to play Mario Kart with me? Or there's a couple of games like Lord of the Rings Return of the King. That game, I played that to death with my friend James in high school, just hours upon hours. But besides that, like, and that was cooperative too. So it's not like, so that's just something that is not innate in me to play games with other people, which is why I just play single player games like a fun little time that I have. But yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm the opposite because I do play like single player games from time to time. You know, like when the Spider-Man comes out, I'm gonna play it. Yep. When that sort of thing. Also Pokemon, but Pokemon's not really a single player game. For the bulk of the experience, for me. But like stuff like something that me and Logan used to play a lot. Obviously, Smash Brothers. Like Smash Brothers was a big thing for us. But another shooter, Gears of War. Like Logan was already like really into Gears, and he's like, "Yo, I really like this game. You should get it." And then I got it, and we played it a lot. Yeah. So it's like literally that's the only thing that gets me to play shooters. Yep. It's other people.
Right. Yeah, and I'd be curious if that happens. Just like rumors of what's it called? Master Chief Collection coming to Switch at some point. And I was talking to my friend Mitch, and he was like, ooh, I would totally buy that because I, love Halo and stuff. And he was like, if that came to Switch, would you get it? I was like, I mean, if you get it, sure, and we'll give it a shot.
That's
Why
the
not?
start. That's the start.
But yeah, absolutely. I'm terrible at first-person shooters, especially because part of it is just like I'm not used to the limited range of or field of view kind of stuff. I'm just more used to third-person games.
Like shooters are definitely a thing that you need to play to be good. It's like fighting games. Like nobody picks up Smash Brothers the first time ever and is great at it. You got to play it a lot, and then you'll be great at it. So like if you don't play it a lot, you're not going to be good.
Last comment. Leo Spanghero, nice, says Metroidvanias, but since there would only be this genre, there would be a new Metroid game every year, alternating between 2D and 3D every 2 years.
Yo, that's a Galaxy Brain take. he's like guaranteeing that he gets his favorite series and also genre all at once.
Yeah.
Because if I said only fighting game or even only action games, there's no guarantee that I would get my favorite of that every year. But like, how could you only be able to play Metroidvanias and not have a new Metroid it's called Metroidvania.
Yeah, I think this was a good answer, I think, too. I mean, every answer is a good answer for that person because that's what they wanted. But I appreciated this one because I feel like Metroidvanias all just do a good job of progression, and that kind of stuff is just like, especially because they're all so diverse, and your abilities change from different ones to different ones, and I feel like they can be really creative in good ways where it's eventually fighting games would get stale pretty quick, I feel like, or a lot of games.
How dare you?
It just would. So I'm just saying.
How dare you?
Even first person shooters.
Smash Brothers. I put so many hours in the Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I mean,
generally, like I said, I didn't pick fighting games because I don't like most fighting games.
I mean, honestly, besides Smash Brothers, everything else is much more same. Like Smash Brothers is by far the most different fighting game of any of the fighting games.
Oh, you're about to make people mad.
I mean, I'm not saying it's subjective whether it's the
too
best
late.
or
You
not.
already made people mad. Somebody's writing an iTunes review, which you should also do.
I'm sticking by it. That is the most different, but that's my hot take. I'm sticking to it. But yeah.
Also, something that's interesting about this comment, the first couple comments were like, well, you're more so you like RPGs,
yeah.
But the first couple comments were like, yeah, we appreciate that you like that, but like that wouldn't be the world that I would pick. But this one, when Metroidvanians, we're like, yeah, okay, like that'd be fine.
I mean, it's one of those things where like. Again, first-person shooters. I think what keeps that fresh is just the online aspects of that. So, like, you get to do, that kind of stuff and like playing with other people and competitive type things in different environments. And new games would come out, and you'd be doing the same kind of thing, but in different environments. So it'd be fun for that reason. RPGs and Metroidvanias, I think, have both like good progression type mechanics most of the time, like, or at least good Metroidvanias and good RPGs have good progression mechanics, and so as long as the worlds are fairly varied in there, then they wouldn't get stale very quickly, I don't think, just for that reason, as opposed to, like I said, I think besides Smash, I feel like fighters might get stale kind of quickly, but that's just personal bias, I'm sure.
Oh, there you
go. I think for me, before we move on to the last section of our podcast, I can't remember. I think I've mentioned this before, but maybe I did. In any case, that probably some kind of MMO. Specifically, like I was.
That is so weird.
I know. But
that's weird. You're like, I don't like multiplayer games. I like the most multiplayer kind of games.
So I think what it is because I was just thinking about it. If there was only like one kind of game, none of the ones that are out there right now would be that game or whatever. But when I played RuneScape back in the day, I put so many hours into it and like would keep going back.
So like when they announced that, no, that's Rune Factory.
Oh yeah, did not care about that particularly.
I was like, were you like, oh my god, another entry in the Rune series? It's got Rune in the title. We're doing it. Although a little bit, I was like, Rune? No. But I can't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast or not. Maybe so. But I the other week found RuneScape was on the App Store, and it was just, you could play classic RuneScape for free on your phone. And I downloaded it, and like 3 seconds in was like, nope, not doing this. This is a terrible mistake, and just bowed out immediately. Because on multiple occasions, that was like one of the first games that I spent a long time just really investing time into in like 6th grade. I'd play that a ton. And then, played it pretty much end of 6th grade all through when we moved. And then at some point, like midway through 7th or 8th grade or so, kind of dropped out. And then just came back to it every couple of years for a little bit and would get sucked in and then figure out like, nope, it's not worth it, and ditch. But a lot of that, I think the reason for me that an MMO of some sort would be good is just because it's got the progression kinds of stuff. And there's a lot of different kinds of things you can do in there. So it's kind of like it can scratch a lot of different itches at the same time. You could literally play one MMO for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Yeah. And not that I do, because I obviously don't. The fact that I can switch between games means I'd much rather do that and play lots of different kinds of games. But like if there was an MMO in the Zelda world or something like that, and
Pokemon.
Or Pokemon, absolutely.
Pokemon.
And you could fill all these different roles and stuff like that. I think that would just keep me invested and interested for the longest amount of time. So
I should have said Pokemon to trigger people.
Too late. Hot take's already taken.
Too late.
You did it. But speaking of things that we do, we answer your comments. So be sure to comment on all the videos. Also, if you're still listening to the podcast, you're probably somebody who cares about just how this channel does in general and how we can expand and grow and get more people into the community and whatnot. And that's something that comments are really helpful for algorithm things as well. So like definitely leaving comments is helpful to be able to grow the community and et cetera, which is nice for us and nice for everybody, I suppose. I don't know.
This is true. These are facts. The bigger the channel gets, the more content you get, the better content you get. So everybody wins.
Accurate. Very true. So yeah, other things that you can win with is comment or asking questions. I already said commenting. We're getting to the Q&A section, and this is something you can join our Discord and ask questions on there, and we'll pull all those. Otherwise, AJ also asks on the community page on YouTube. So check around Friday, mid-afternoon, and there'll probably be something on there for you to ask some questions on, or you can tweet at somebody or whatever, and we'll get your questions in here. But we've got some of those to get into right now. Here we go. Ought Value asks, if there was an ARMS 2, what features do you think were missing from the first game? I think that the competitive mode should only allow the default fists, as allowing custom characters in this fighting game makes it really hard to play against certain characters, such as Master Mummy with 2 umbrellas.
Yo, Ought Value is very invested in ARMS. And I appreciate it because I thought ARMS was great. A lot of people were like Bob, like Bob's whole thing. We went to the Nintendo preview event or whatever, right? And Bob was like, ARMS sucks. And then I played ARMS and I was like, yo, ARMS is decent. Like, it's pretty good. It's fun. So like I would be in, but yeah. Ought Value is very in.
I think
I wouldn't even know that a lot of these things didn't already exist in ARMS because I haven't played it since they like really updated it. Right. Because of physical media. I don't know where my ARMS cartridge is.
Mistakes.
So rip that.
Yep. So I didn't buy ARMS. I played the test punch.
How dare you?
Well, I think, and so here's the thing. For me personally, at least, we've talked about how I don't really do online stuff all that much. Yeah. And I know that there's single player content in there, but I think
it's definitely not enough to play by yourself.
I think that's the thing for me, and maybe a lot of other people. I don't know who else cares about it specifically. But having single player content that's more than just kind of like, I don't know, do these series of fights, which it's hard to do that in a fighting game. That, let's be honest, like that's just not something that figuring out a good way to do that is tricky. But
I think that they could do it just because like fighting games like Smash Brothers, for instance, right? Like it's not that hard to find out how to do that because it's more than just a fighting game. It's a fighting game that's like also kind of a platform.
Right.
For ARMS, they could use the mechanics of ARMS to make it more of like an adventure game of some sort or whatever,
Yep.
It doesn't have to only exclusively be this thing, or they could make it a fighting game, but just do like certain challenges around that, which they kind of flirted with a little bit, where it's like, here's the target challenge mini games and like volleyball and basketball with like, like that sort of thing.
Yep.
They could definitely do more of that.
Open world ARMS, I think, is what we're talking about. That's what we need.
Obviously.
No, yeah, exactly. I think there's different ways that they could switch it up and add stuff in there add challenges besides just back-to-back fighting people. And also, I think the other big thing is that it seemed like there was a lack of content at the beginning because they were going to do the updates and stuff. And that's something that's fairly controversial in general. I feel like, like with the Kirby was the biggest, I think, example of that, where they just added so much that they could have had so much more at the beginning.
I think when you're a multiplayer game, and online multiplayer game specifically, you can get away with that a lot easier because there's already like so much time that you can put into the game. So like adding more content just incentivizes you to add even more time to your playtime.
Yep.
where it's like with Splatoon, right? Especially with the original game, like when a new gun got announced, like the play activity skyrocketed, you know, where it's like something new got announced, a new stage, it got to a peak, and then it kind of tapered out. A new gun got announced, it skyrocketed again, and then it kind of tapered out. So like new content additions allow the game to have like a longer life than just being like, here's everything all at once. Get tired of whatever your preference is and then stop playing the game, you know. So I think it works for games like Splatoon and I guess like ARMS.
I think it just felt like the amount so I just looked it up. I think there's 16 characters in ARMS now after everything's said and done, but I want to say they launched with 10 or maybe 12.
It was something like that, yeah.
But I feel like 16 would have been like the right number to start with. Like that would have felt like that's a full roster to start with, and then adding more would have felt like, oh, and more content. Whereas it really legitimately felt like, at least to me, somebody who didn't get the game, that when it launched, it was like, this is kind of a lacking lineup. And then by the end, it was like, this is an adequate, like this is the right amount of characters kind of a thing.
I think Smash Brothers and like that ruined people's perspective,
especially in retrospect games. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because like full rosters used to be like 8 characters and now if you don't have at least 30, people are like, this isn't enough.
Yeah, I feel like starting at 15 and going up to 20 would have been great for ARMS, where it felt like, yeah, that to me at least just says who I am. That I think if they had that and also just more more diverse single player content that didn't just feel like I'm just playing, you know, essentially the same as an online thing, but against a computer at a varying difficulty level. That's I mean, honestly, Splatoon is a great example of like the single player content. Again, I haven't actually got the game. Blasphemy, I know.
How dare you.
But the single player content is like, here's just some, it's not the lone version of multiplayer content. It's just straight up single player content.
Dope in Splatoon. Yeah. That was one of my complaints, like as far as like stuff that's lacking with the original game, is like it should have had more. Yeah. It had like 29.
Do you mean like before the Octo expansion or was Splatoon 1?
No, I mean the original game, that's Splatoon 2.
I think honestly the thing that I'm waiting for,
Splatoon 2, like I didn't even care about the single player content for whatever reason. And then I played through it. I was like, oh, this is really good.
So here's a question. I think in the back of my mind, I'm waiting on getting Splatoon. If at some point it comes out as $60 for the full game with the Octo expansion included, then that's when I'll get the game. Because at that point, I'll feel like even if I don't play the multiplayer at all, which is a legitimate concern of mine, is like, I don't want to put in $60 to not play multiplayer content.
Yo, I'll play the multiplayer of Splatoon 2 with you.
I mean, it would be fun. I just don't know if I will actually do it, but we'll see. Whatever. But do you think that, so I guess this is my question, do you think that the single player content of just Splatoon 2 is worth the $60? Or I mean, that's subjective obviously, but you know what I'm trying to say.
It really just depends on how much you enjoy the mechanics of the game, because that was a driving force for me for like what made me want to finish it. Because like at first I was like, I don't really care about this, I would just want to play online, and then I played it and I was like, yo, like this really uses the mechanics in an interesting way, and the Octo expansion even more so. So if you enjoy the mechanics and you like the idea of the like ink swimming with the synergy of the shooting the ink and recharging your ink and all that stuff, if that interests you in any way, and climbing up the walls and going through the grates and you know all that stuff, if that interests you, I think that both things are worth it. Worth the money.
Cool.
Hashtag free product for Octo expansion. I paid for the game though.
Nice. Yeah, good question, Not Value. I'd imagine we'll see in ARMS 2 at some point, and hopefully they'll have some of those things. Impu asks, do you think there's a home for AAA games on the Switch? If so, could there be more ports of AAA exclusives for the Switch itself? Example, the new Skyrim game teased with a new engine. I do understand that Doom and Wolfenstein pulled it off because of the versatility of the game engine and the ease of downscaling from its intended medium.
Yes. Mostly because I think that games are like game engines are just inherently going to become more and more scalable as you move forward. Like you would think from a bird's eye view, looking at gaming or technology just in general, that everything would become more and more powerful. So therefore, you don't need to scale as much. But there's a lot of like low end tech that are beginning to get high end games, you know, like smartphones.
Right.
So they need to build their engines to be scalable if they want to have access to that user base. Like the biggest user base by far is smartphones.
Right.
We're looking at over 1 billion people at that point. So it's like you're going to want to adapt to that in some way if you want to have access to that pool of people. So yeah, and with Switch specifically, it just makes too much sense. Like the user base that they have, and as far as like demographics go, like it's the perfect demographic for those types of games.
Mm-hmm. I think
it's perfectly split between male and female, and the age is what 24. I mean, like 18 to 24.
Yeah,
that's the demo. Like that's what you want.
The thing that I think is may throw a wrench in the cog or something. May make it weird is the streaming stuff. I wonder, you know, just what happens with that if they decide not to because they're going to stream there instead. So I
think that we might have a mixture of both.
Yeah, I think so.
Just like in the way that and they brought this up on Left and Live, where it's like there's always going to be physical media like music because there's always going to be enthusiasts that are willing to pay for that stuff. I think that it's like even within game development studios, there's going to be people that work there that are like so like invested in the experience of having this thing physically. So I think that those studios that know that like, okay, the Switch has a vibrant user base that are going to pay for this game, they're going to put their game physically on the Switch and use the hardware to make their game work. But then there's also going to be the CD Projekt Reds of the world that's like, no, we care more about the vision of our game. We want it to be like run in the way that we intended it to. So if it's going to be on Switch, it needs to be cloud-based. Yep. So I think we'll have a mixture of both.
I think especially within the physical conversation, like something that I can never get out of my head is most of the physical games that I have were given to me as a gift by somebody. Yeah, probably most of them. And so I think that's just a market that they're not going to want to, at least, you know, as many as possible. So like the biggest games just aren't going to want to get rid of that, where they still want somebody to be able to buy me Ys 8 as a Christmas gift.
Like, we can't go all digital. Nobody's going to buy Parker games anymore.
Exactly. I am very important.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. Because like even like it's just so much less personable to be like, hey, I emailed you a Amazon code for Cuphead 2. You know, like
and even if it's like as gamers age up and we know that we could buy somebody a digital copy of something or get somebody an eShop card or whatever, people's spouses or like parents at this point, you know, obviously, I don't know, just lots of people, spouses, parents, other people, cousins, neighbors, whatever, just won't know that stuff regardless of how
I think that they all know about like everybody knows that gift cards exist.
For sure.
But it's just like it just feels so much worse to be like, oh yeah, hey, I got you a gift card. You know, like it seems like I don't actually know what you want. I just generally know what you're into. So like, do it yourself. Here's the money.
Well, it's funny. So like for Christmas, my mother or my in-laws, you know, so they got me. They're actually the ones that got me Ys 8, which is funny because my father-in-law's name is Dana, and it's Lacrimosa of Donna.
There it is.
So that's fun.
What if he only bought it because
honestly,
of that? Like, hey,
I thought about it. Like, I mean, he loves that kind of just, you know, jokes and stuff. He's a funny guy. And so I was like,
hey, dad jokes exist for a reason.
100% they do. I tell one every day on my daily team meeting at work. It's tradition now and it's very fun. But
you're not allowed. You're not a dad.
No, but I want to.
You're not allowed. You're legally not allowed.
But so they got me that. But then also in my stocking there was an eShop gift card as well. And my mother-in-law was like, Well, I don't know how that thing works, but I mean, whatever, there it is. Ashley said to get you that, so I don't know. And I was like, cool. And I explained like, yeah, so it's, how like you can buy games. You can also, I could just get them digitally instead of getting them physically, like kind of like you can download movies or something. And she's like, oh, okay. Which is just,
you could be like, it's kind of like getting a Starbucks gift card.
Right. I guess just, she probably thought like, back in N64 days.
Starbucks gift cards are cool, I guess.
True.
Because you can refill those. And like Philip DeFranco and like other influencers, this is a tangent, but other influencers are like, hey, I bought this gift card. You can use it. It's $100. But if you're going to use it and you empty it, you should refill it. Pay it forward.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
That'd be cool if you could do that with Switch eShop cards.
Yeah.
That'd be dope. Nintendo, do it.
Do it.
So I can post the eShop gift card and be like, here's a $100 eShop card. If you use it, pay it forward.
That's right. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm interested in all that stuff. I feel like you're right. That it'll be a little bit of both for AAA games. But I think it'll be really helpful to have the streaming platforms so that we can get the majority of them. But there will still be ones that are kind of tailor-made. I do wonder, like, we'll get a Monster Hunter Switch at some point, and that'll probably be more akin to, maybe not in mechanics, but just in vibe of Monster Hunter World as opposed to Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, because that was a 3DS game. So I think
just because like how much wider the appeal for that game, like Monster Hunter World sold like something like, it's like 8 million plus units.
It was
which is insane. Ridiculous for a Monster Hunter game.
So I think with that, there's just going to be a lot of things that there's going to be games that are more tailor-made for the Switch that are third-party AAA kinds of things. Just because that happens. There you go. Next up, question. This one we kind of teased out a little bit earlier. Batar asks, will the Camera VR Labo bring back Pokemon Snap?
Yes, I was going to bring that up earlier. Mm-hmm. I gestured towards it. I think that they should do something like that. I don't know if they're going to do like a full game,
right? But
they could definitely do like a little experience, like within Pokemon Sword and Shield, and say, "Hey, here's this little thing. You can use your Labo camera."
Yeah, or Pokemon Let's Go, maybe even more likely. I mean, that's kind of behind them now, but they did. I mean, with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that was a thing. So, just because Let's Go already has, the more immersive world kind of a thing where there's Pokemon walking around and all that, and then they wouldn't have to design as many Pokemon or something. But in any case, still they should do it with something.
Yeah, do it,
because it would be dope.
You got the camera, there it is. Right. It's there.
It will be a thing. Next up, Crazy Derp 2 asks, why do you think there's no hype for Yoshi? It's coming out in about 8 days and seems to have little to no advertisements, and Nintendo has barely shown anything from the game except a couple of levels in the trailers and one demo. Could the game potentially be a flop?
No. I just think like Yoshi and Kirby and Super Mario U Deluxe and like that, those are games that are just going to sell on their own. Yep. People walk into a store and they're like, oh, Yoshi, I recognize that, and buy it. I don't think it needs a whole lot of fanfare. Most people just already know what it is. And I think that kind of addressing Patar 35, he asked the question, will Yoshi be another Kirby Star Allies mess? No, because I think that the demo for Yoshi's Crafted World is a lot stronger than the one that was released for Kirby Star Allies. 100%. And just like the promotional material that they already put out shows that the game is a lot more diverse and like has more content that is like mechanically interesting than Kirby Star Allies.
Yep. And it's interesting hearing some just preview discussions and stuff. I know I listened to Game Explain talk about it, and maybe some other thing, maybe Nintendo Life or somebody, I don't know who it was, but talking about it where they were saying like, it seems like it gets better and better as you play it too, as opposed to Kirby Star Allies was a little bit the opposite, where at first you were like, all right, cool, this might turn into something, and then kind of it seems like just kind of, all right, just more of the same. Whereas this evolves kind of as you go, which is fun. But yeah, I think you're right. Mechanics are more diverse, and the like puzzles are a little bit more puzzly, and the platforming is a little bit more platformy. And so it's just like the things that it's trying to do, it's not trying to be like a sort of action hack and slash game that's like super easy, like where you can.
It's not trying to be a baby game for babies, but it's also like approachable though.
Yeah, I hate that talk crap on.
That we talk about how Kirby Star Allies is a baby game for babies. I mean, maybe it shouldn't be a baby game for babies. I mean, sorry about it.
Sorry for anybody who loves
Sorry
Kirby Star
to be so
Allies.
negative. Well, Kirby Star Allies.
But yeah, Yoshi is going to be...
You know what's great? Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. You should buy that. That game's cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Because it's inclusive of people that aren't babies.
It's a baby game for grown-ups.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding. But no, I'm personally really excited for Yoshi. Also because my wife's excited about it, and not very often do we play stuff together just because she doesn't really play games that much. And so anything that'll get us to be able to play stuff together, I'm totally down on. So
there it is.
That should be pretty neat. Next up, Striker XL. What's up, Striker? Said, do you think Konami will release a Switch physical edition of the collections they've announced into one bundle? So that would be the Contra pack and the Castlevania pack. They didn't say for the Contra and Castlevania one. There's 8 games in each of those. They did say it's $20 for the Konami Classics, which is 8 games. That's kind of like a mixture of various other games that are old Konami ones, like Twin Bee and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, it's possible, I guess. But I don't know, because I doubt that they would charge $20 each or $60 for the 3 packed together for a physical Switch game, because it's Switch tax.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if they would do that.
I kind of figured maybe they
will release them all separately for $30 each.
Yeah,
I could see
that's
them maybe
possible.
doing that.
Like doing like a physical Castlevania. So a Castlevania pack is $20 digitally or $30 physically, kind of a thing.
Right.
Yep.
And then just like throw in some fanfare, like you get this book or stickers or whatever, like how what was that game called? Rhyme. How Rhyme did it, because there was like a lot of controversy. It's like, this is $10 more expensive on Switch, and they're like, all right, fine. It's still $10 more expensive, but we're going to give you more stuff.
Yep. It would be cool if they did that. Knowing Konami, I severely doubt it.
That's true.
It would be cool for sure, but I think probably too they know they're going to catch more people by keeping it split up, because maybe the person that would be down to pay up to $40 for the Contra and Castlevania collection doesn't want to pay that extra $20 for the extra Konami classics or something like that. I don't know. Like, I think most doesn't matter who's to say, but I think they just wouldn't take the risk. Like, it's way easier for them to just do it digitally and put it out that way. So that's probably what they'll end up doing. Right. Yeah. All right, moving along, because we are look at us. This is like almost 2.5 hours now.
I mean, we got a ton of questions.
We did. It's always lots of fun. It's funny, we only had 5 news topics, but they were just big news topics. So True. There you go. Rod Habibi asks, this is from this is YouTube community. We got these next questions. My question is, what games are you wanting? Doesn't have to actually come. And what should that game... yeah, okay, I'm just reading it to make sure I'm reading it right. Yeah, so my question is, what games are you wanting? And it doesn't have to be one that actually comes. What should that game keep from previous installments? And what should it get rid of? Also, what do you think the new Mario should have?
Okay, so...
It sounds like sequels to games or like continuations in series of some sort.
Right. I mean, Pokemon... I want Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I wanted to keep the overall like idea, the suggestion of what Pokemon used to be. So like the battling and trading and all that good stuff. But I want them to take out the like battle mechanics as they exist now. They don't necessarily have to be action, but like the turn-based mechanics as they are, tweak them, make them different. Change that. And I have multiple videos about that.
True.
But that, I mean, that's just the one that's like, and we talk about a lot of different games where it's like, hey, what about if the next one is different?
Yeah.
But that is easily the one that I want most. As far as like a new Mario game, I want them to do Odyssey again. Like, I want them to like further explore what Cappy could do.
Yep.
But what about you, Parker?
I think for me, Breath of the Wind, maybe. I don't know. Like pretty much Breath of the Wild sequel.
Wind Waker and meets Breath of the Wild.
But yeah, so Breath of the Wild sequel, and it's like same engine, and just add more and varied story, so it's not Ganon stuff again. So akin to Majora's Mask in this sense, you know, that it's just something different, same game engine.
I feel like that's like the reverse of Majora's Mask almost, like, or at least what I would want from that. I want like a more like pre-apocalyptic, right, I guess, or post-apocalyptic question mark, where it's like not everything is in shambles,
right,
and we have like this lived-in world that's like actual functioning cities and people that are doing things, and not everybody's like, oh yeah, we had this literal looming shadow circling around our kingdom.
Honestly, yeah. So that's, I think I would want that, and the things that I'd want it to change is exactly what it has, but just with more of several things. So more like I like the traditional dungeons, but I love the shrines as well. So if we could do, you know, instead of 120 shrines, like 80 shrines and some dungeons, like, because there were dungeons in there, but they were just all kind of short and mostly like centered around kind of a gimmick, sort of, which always was the case, but it was. I think just implementing...
They had their own gimmicks.
Yes,
like, they didn't use the same one, just different.
So implementing those, you know, I think just more dungeons, a little bit more like traditional style, but along with everything that's already there, and also with some extra enemy variety. Pretty much, that's it. We're like, you know, take exactly what you've got, leave everything in that sort of sense, that mechanically speaking, and just add in more of just new content into there. And I would be very pleased.
So like a Far Cry Primal sort of situation where it's like, it's just Far Cry, what was that, 4? It's just Far Cry 4, but it's different,
right,
a different world, or the same world but just different.
Yes, I would love that. And what should the new Mario have? I mean, I guess it also depends what content. I agreed as far as Mario Odyssey 2. I think as far as if like a 2D Mario, we've got Mario Maker 2 coming, so like they've got it. I think if they can include as much old stuff in there as possible, you know, like Super Mario Bros. 2 stuff, or the things that everybody's wanting, really. I'm not coming up with any crazy new ideas right now for that, but I mean, that stuff. But then, Super Mario Odyssey 2 would be dope, or, you know, Super Mario Galaxy 3, whatever. More Mario, I'm down with it. I don't care.
True.
It'd be good. So there we go. JBell17 asks, since Nintendo really doesn't want us to voice chat through the Switch, it should at least add a messaging system. So many times I want to play someone when I see they're online, and I have to contact them through other means, and that may not always be an option.
More on that on Tuesday.
I agree. Yeah, I fully agree. Because, like, I'll see, I don't know, AJ's online or something, and honestly, like, I'd love to just be like, hey, what's up? And you just be like, and I'm you, or like, I'm good. And that's it. Like,
I mean, you have my Twitter.
Yeah, but like, do that. Then you have to look at your stupid phone. Your phone's really dumb,
True.
AJ.
Truth.
But, you know, that kind of thing. Or, yeah, being able to tell somebody, hey, you want to play this game? Like, just send them a little game message request thing would be dope. But again, more on that on Tuesday, it sounds like. So,
yep, more on that on Tuesday.
Last question from Falcon asks, Fanatics 4 Splatoon / Smash tourney when?
I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe in the future, possibly. I mean, if they announce that they're going to have like a already like functioning tournament mode that's online, I'll do that all the time.
Yeah.
But like, since it takes so much like setup, I'm not really interested in doing it right now unless I see a lot of people want it. So
True.
Either rally people within the community to tell me they also want this thing, or wait until Nintendo has a tournament feature.
Yep. Sounds like a plan. Well, AJ, that is it for the comments, and that's all we've got for this week.
That is all that we have for this week, but it's not all that we'll have in the future. So subscribe. And if you're listening on audio, like I said, rate, so we can get better placement on the store, and everybody will have a great, fun old time.
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts, Parker?
My final thoughts is you are all beautiful people, I would imagine, and have...
Except for you, Frank.
Someone named Frank is real sad right now. And there you go. That's it. Have a real good time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.